We got a lot of wide receivers and running backs to discuss walking into this little breaking news show. We're live Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern, every single Monday through Friday, in case you're new. And we're talking Hopkins today. We're talking Saquon. We'll have a little bit of Dalvin Cook discussion, amongst other players like Jalen Warren and Jordan Addison, Stefan Diggs. And then we're taking your phone calls. Super chats will be answered. Questions in the chat will be answered. We'll be doing it all live here, the Fantasy Football Show. It begins right now, broskies. File on in.
From the FantasyFootballShow.com studios, it's the Fantasy Football Show live Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern.
From the FantasyFootballShow.com news desk, here is your breaking news.
So I had a lot going on today. I moved around my office again as much as I can. I'm one of those guys that likes to move things around constantly, but I can't in the studio because I have literally things, bolted to the wall that you can't move. So I tend to move a lot of other things around, like my chairs. They go back and forth. I love, this is the best setup I feel like I have. You can't really see some of it, but I have this monitor here. This is a completely different system and station here. I could do redraft stuff on them, or I can do the main channel live stream. I could kickstart a Dynasty live stream while we're on the redraft live stream. Completely different systems, and so I've been working on that all day today. I barely got live in. I'm a little late in time getting all this set up, but I got a lot of stuff to clean up as well. But I'm feeling productive right now. I'm feeling productive. And on that note, let's talk about the guys in the news right now. First in the building today, 60 of you in here already. Please punch that thumb up button. I didn't get a chance to go on Instagram and announce that we were live. Part of me thinks I need to do that real quickly because I don't want people on IG to not know we're live, but I'll do that in a second. First in the building was Pyrom, followed by Michael K. CPA. Michael K. CPA has been with me from the beginning.
He's Michael K. CPA. When you've got bills to pay, Michael K. CPA. He is here to stay.
He's here to stay, ladies and gentlemen. He's always first or second in the building. OEG, Axe, Jonathan, Warren, Frake, Lupo, OEG, appreciate you all being here. I can't thank you guys enough. 70 in here. Please punch that thumb up button. Let's at least get that match, and those are rookie numbers. Barkley is, before we get into some of these other names that have I have screenshots and things to discuss regarding some of these players. Let's get into the Barkley situation. Their ESPN just talked about a little earlier that, and this was coming from, I believe, Shefty, saying that Barkley holdout is a real thing. And now, we all know that Barkley and players, any player really in today's NFL, are going to be hard-pressed to hold out, hard-pressed to actually take it the distance because you are fined an extreme amount of money, especially when we get into July. Okay, you're talking about like $50,000 per day to the tune of that kind of money. But right now, it was like 17, if I remember correctly, like 17K for day one, 30K for day two, 40K. Like it's a crazy amount of money. And so at some point, an RB, a wide receiver, guys that are going to be, especially like Barkley, who's going to be looking at, if he's lucky, some kind of $34, $35, $40 million deal that's very team friendly. Maybe he's getting like 10 to 15, I don't know, like 20 something guaranteed. Like he's not getting $50 million guaranteed. Doesn't matter if he's got 3 years left. Running backs get screwed. And I'm not saying that's right, but it's the reality of the situation. Thank you, Klondike, becoming a member or re-upping. Appreciate you. It's the reality of the situation. And we're essentially looking at, did somebody drop some sort of gifted membership? What's going on here? Or are these renewals? These might be renewals, but either way, it's absolutely fantastic. Appreciate all of you. Let me get my other stream up here. I've got all these streams here. As if I need another one. This will let me monitor the YouTube exclusive membership stuff because my system won't bring that stuff in. So let me pull this up real quick. Hold on. God, I've got so many alerts. I'm live in 2 drafts, or I'm up in 2 drafts. All right, here we go. Yeah, somebody gifted memberships here. Who is this? This is Paul. Paul dropping 10 gifted memberships. Paul to the moon. Paul to the absolute moon. Appreciate you, Paul. You are the man. Paul, appreciate you. Guys, throw a fire emoji out for Paul, who just grabbed 10 gifted memberships for some of you. Those are filing in right now. My point is, holding out in the NFL is not what it used to be. It used to be back in the Zeke Elliott days. Remember when Zeke would get in the Salvation Army bucket and he'd do all the different, he was a touchdown machine. He could hold out all offseason, come back. They'd forgive all of his fines. They'd be like, Zeke Elliott racked up $2 million in fines. Waive him. We signed into a long-term deal. It was a bluff. The fines were a bluff. The new collective bargaining agreement on this topic, where players cannot get those funds returned to them or waived, make it almost near impossible for a player to smartly hold out. Does that mean a player can't hold out? No, a player can't hold out. If a player is sitting here going, Smitty, I'm holding out because of principle. Barkley's saying I'm holding out for the sake of all running backs. That's possible. I'm not saying it's smart. I'm not saying he'll end up following through. I'm not saying that this thing won't, get resolved by the Giants saying, look, we need Barkley in here. He does deserve it. The pressure of the fan base on the Giants for what Barkley said publicly. I don't want to set records for running back contracts. I don't want to be the highest paid running back in the NFL. I know the running back market. He said all those things publicly. So kind of turning the pressure over to the Giants organization and the brass, saying, are you gonna come to the table and offer this man a respectable deal? You're paying Danny Dimes all the money that you should be paying Barkley. You should have franchise tagged Danny Dimes. Let's be real. Danny Dimes might be pretty good under Dable, because Dable does great things with quarterbacks. Look what he did with Josh Allen. I like Danny Dimes in some ways. I think he's kind of an intriguing prospect. And I think he's a poor man's version of Josh Allen. He'll never turn into Josh Allen just because Dable turned Josh Allen into Josh Allen. Josh Allen, by my identification process, was pegged as a top 1 to 5 quarterback before he threw a single snap in the NFL. That's what we do here. That's what we do here on the Fantasy Football Show. Now, Danny Dimes is a poor man's version of Josh Allen, but he can be Goff good. He can be what Geno Smith was last year good. That's what Dable can bring out in Danny Dimes. But did Danny Dimes deserve the contract Danny Dimes got? Absolutely not. Did Barkley deserve a bigger deal or the money and the franchise tag sent the way of Danny Dimes? Yes. Can they still do both? Yes, they can. There's a deadline of July 17, and so they have until that time frame to get a deal done. So the question is, how long does it take? It's not really a matter of Chucky was gifted a membership by Paul, which is awesome. Paul dropping fire, 10 gifted memberships by Paul. Just amazing. Point here, and then we'll move on to the next player, is that I know a lot of you, including me, are going to say he's not holding out. It's a bluff, right? It's a bluff. I mean, it probably is. But you or I and nobody can say for certain we know what's going on in this man's mind, because we saw Le'Veon Bell do it. It ended very badly for Le'Veon Bell. Some say it didn't, but they don't know what they're talking about, because Le'Veon Bell lost out on the franchise tag amount for RBs, right? He lost out on that top 5 running back salary that he was, I think it was that franchise tag. I forget if it was restricted. It was the restricted franchise tag, if I believe correctly. The exclusive franchise tag, I believe it was. I forget on LeBell. Regardless of those details, are so long ago, no one cares. It's not the same thing, but it is something to where we were shocked when LeBell sat out an entire year on principle. he did it. It ruined his career. He never came back. He missed out on a bunch of money. And yeah, he did get a big contract, I believe above $20 million, but he would have got that anyway and got his franchise tag. So people need to stop talking about this as a successful holdout for Le'Veon Bell. It was a ridiculously bad holdout that ruined his career. And it's very, very unlikely that Saquon could take a 1-year hiatus and come back and be some amazing top 5 running back. He's running a risk of ruining his career. Not to mention, every week he holds out is a higher risk for injury. So if he shows up right before July 17, let's say, he's got a high risk of injury. Here's what I believe happens. I think the Giants come to the table. I think they offer him a deal. I think this gets done hopefully in the next couple weeks. I hope that they give him enough money that, wets his beak. He can get in there, start getting to work. Missing a week or two right now, not the end of the world. Probably doesn't up his injury risk that much at all, if any. I know he works out a ton on his own. I know he's in good shape, but he needs to be out there in July. He misses a week in July. I don't know what percentage of injury risk gets kicked into gear there, but there is a percentage of injury risk that gets applied, in my opinion. Every single day a player misses, and that could be just a minute climb in percentage of risk of getting hurt. Every single day they miss in like the July period. Like June, I mean, it's not the end of the world. He needs to be out there. And Deebo Samuel is proof that even if you come back, and you get into the system and you start working out, you can still be off kilter all season long. Even if you escape injury for the most part all year by holding out, Deebo was off kilter all year long. So Michael K's CPA is correct. He will probably play on the tag. All of you in the comments saying Barkley will be fine, he'll show up. You're probably right. I do believe Barkley won't sit out 2023. The odds of Barkley sitting out 2023 on principle are probably something along the lines of like 4%. It's very small, maybe 2%, maybe less than that. I doubt he sits out the entire season. Could he sit out longer than we ever expect? He could. But here's the point of emphasis here. Once July 17 occurs, he no longer can negotiate a long-term deal. He is put on the franchise tag of $10-something million, roughly $10 million. He is, without even needing to sign pen to paper, he will be given the 1-year contract, whether he wants it or not. Right now, he hasn't signed. He's not under contract. He's not accruing fines right now. Saquon Barkley, and if I wasn't clear about that earlier, I apologize. Saquon Barkley is not under contract this very moment. So Saquon Barkley, unlike another player that's holding out, like let's say Joe Burrow was to hold out, and he wouldn't. That guy's a magnificent, just
to the moon
gem, Joe Burrow. He wouldn't do that. He's a team player. But if Joe Burrow were to hold out right now, Joe Burrow would be accruing fines. Barkley's not yet under contract because he has not yet signed his franchise tag. But on July 17, franchise tag becomes his contract. So here's what I believe to be the case. On July 17, no matter what the Giants do or don't do, he will be there. He will be there. He'll be upset. He'll play on the tag, but he'll show up late. He'll show up late with a higher risk of injury, but he will show up. There's no way Saquon Barkley, I might not have been clear on this in the beginning and made it confusing. He's not accruing any sort of penalties right now. But on July 17 and beyond, he would, or July 18, he would. I don't think he's going to be wanting to lose money. He would be losing tons of money per day. So don't expect that to happen, but he's got a higher risk of injury. I think he comes to work on July 18 no matter what, but I believe there's a gut instinct I have here. High likelihood percentage chance that the Giants make this right in the next couple weeks because his expectation level is so low. Okay, so what is Barkley asking for? I don't really know. I would imagine somewhere along the lines of $13 to $15 million per year is what I would assume. So that's the Barkley situation. Dalvin Cook, there's I don't think there's much update other than He is potentially, what was that? There was a report somewhere. I got it right here. Oh, here it is, actually. I got it on screen. Dalvin Cook said his shoulder is fully healthy following off-season surgery. No. Hold on. Let me call his doctor. Yeah, hey, doc, is Dalvin Cook's shoulder, is his shoulder completely healed? You duct taped it together. It's as good as it can get. That works for me. This guy plays no matter what. They just put a flak jacket on him, strap that bad boy down to his shoulder, and keep that ball and socket in there the best they can. His shoulder's not fully healthy. He's as good as he can be, I'm sure. I'm sure he can pass a physical. This guy's tolerance for pain is through the roof. This is like Lethal Weapon. You know, when he dislocates his shoulder for fun and pops it back in. This guy could do this as a party trick. He could go out there, rip his shoulder, his ball out of his socket, just completely rip the labrum out and shove it back in for $10 or for a laugh. This guy can do party tricks with his shoulder. He's not fully healthy. He's as healthy as he's going to be. He can pass a physical. And Dalvin Cook is a huge injury risk every time he walks on the field. But is he an injury risk with the shoulder? I don't know, because he plays on it no matter what. Other players would sit out. They'd have surgery. They'd be looking out for their long-term health of it. At this point for him, he knows his shoulder's shot long-term. He's just going to shove it back in, tolerate the pain, wear a flak jacket whenever it tears. I don't know. I'm not worried about the shoulder as much as I used to be because he's aging. We're not expecting a full season really anyway. The other injuries just kind of add up. He's a big injury risk, but where he goes will determine all of his value. If he goes to Miami, he's going to have some interesting value. If Cincinnati releases Joe Mixon, which is new news, this is not something that we're just like kicking back into gear from a previous situation. This is new news. Joe Mixon potentially, we talked about this yesterday. We did a live stream on it. Joe Mixon is expected to get about $12.8 million. That's the $1 million cap hit. $12.8 million cap hit for the Bengals. They do not want to take that on. They do not want to take that on. They got Chase Brown, who they believe in. They've got other running back options that might sign for a fraction of that $12.8 million, like Zeke Elliott, Leonard Fournette, other running backs that could go to the older crew of free agents that are lingering out there, just bodies to get into the lineup if they ever need it, but they probably would eventually lean on Chase Brown no matter what, unless they bring in a bigger name player. But Joe Mixon could be released if he doesn't take a pay cut. We'll have to see how that plays out. But if, let's say, Joe Mixon is released and he does not accept a pay cut, because for those people that own Mixon and they want to pretend this isn't the case, it is the case. Joe Mixon is very likely to get released if he doesn't accept a major pay cut, whether you drafted him or not. So start preparing for it. Maybe he lands somewhere good. Mealy, been a member for 8 months. Says Barkley can get traded before the tag deadline. He certainly could, but it's very highly unlikely that before July 17, which is the deadline, a team would acquire him via trade, because you've got Dalvin Cook for free. Would you rather have Dalvin Cook for free, essentially in terms of draft capital, and then pay him a very modest wage? Or would you take on a player that doesn't want to sign a franchise tag amount of money? He wants a long-term deal, so that team would have to be interested in locking up Barkley for the long term and giving up draft capital, which, I mean, all it takes is one dancing partner to pull something like that off. One team might want Saquon Barkley, so it's a great question, Mealy, but probably very unlikely that that this would have happened before the NFL draft, so a team could have used the 2023 draft capital, or the Giants could have used the 2023 draft capital. Although you never know. It only takes one dancing partner to make that trade, and sometimes players get more disgruntled after the NFL draft, and so you might say, well, it's most likely to happen during draft season, right? Well, maybe Barkley's going to get more and more and more disgruntled, and then it becomes an unrepairable situation, and then they say, let's just trade him. But I highly doubt. There are very few teams in the NFL that even need a running back. With the NFL draft now filling a lot of the vacancies, we're looking at probably 3 or 4 potential locations that would rather turn to a free Dalvin Cook. So Barkley getting traded is very, very unlikely. Derek Lincoln, appreciate you being in here. Jacobs has not signed his franchise tag. Barkley has not signed his franchise tag. Neither, as of this moment, are accruing fines for not showing up to camp. Nor will they, because they're not going to sign their tag unhappy. So this gives them an opportunity to, without missing funds and money, miss the entire June and go into July and cause problems. Jacobs doesn't want to play for the Raiders. Jacobs only wanted to play for the Las Vegas Raiders if they were going to fuel up, reload, and go after a championship. Davante Adams didn't want to play for the Las Vegas Raiders unless they were going to fuel up, reload, and go after a championship. The moment they heard Jimmy Garoppolo was the guy that they brought in to reload, both of them vocally, very publicly, said, we don't want to play for this reload that you call a reload. This is a downgrade. The team downgraded Derek Carr, blaming everything on him, to Jimmy Garoppolo. Neither player wants to play for Jimmy Garoppolo. And if you say that's not true, why were they both on board? And the only additions and subtractions they made were sending Darren Waller away, which was a stupid move by a team that's trying to convince 2 players, Davante Adams and Jacobs, that they are actually trying to reload. You trade away Darren Waller, you bring in a rookie. Rookies don't progress normally very fast at the NFL level. I tell you this all the time. A lot of people run their mouth in the comments after a live stream and say, Smitty, you don't even understand tight ends when you like Kincaid as a rookie. I'm the one telling you rookies don't do well. Okay? But Kincaid is in a special situation. Laporta is in a special situation. Even Luke Musgrave is in kind of a special volume vacant, a vacancy of targets and volume in all those situations. But there is a potential to be overfed. You also have very good passing and quarterback situations. I mean, Goff is going to have a pretty good year, and there's the vacancy for 6 weeks while Jameson Williams is out, so Laporta is going to be kind of spoon-fed. Jordan Love, I actually really, really like, and I think Jordan Love is going to feed Luke Musgrave. Eventually, it might take more time for Musgrave than it will Laporta. Laporta looks great in camp. Laporta looks like he could be the third, like right away, the third receiving option. Gibbs and Laporta, 2 rookies, could consume the second and third target share while Jameson is out, while St. Brown just dominates, and St. Brown's able to continue to dominate because Laporta and also this amazing running back / wide receiver hybrid Jahmyr Gibbs, they're both just looking phenomenal and explosive all over the field. And we've got a little Jahmyr Gibbs, St. Brown, Laporta, Goff, Detroit Lion opening Thursday night football game coming up, don't we?
Mashed potatoes!
Absolutely thrilled about that selection. And the good news about this Thursday game is one of the big reasons Thursday games. Happy birthday, Alexander Madison. Is it Madison's birthday? To the moon, Alexander Madison. One of the big reasons that Thursday night games are bad for fantasy football purposes is the short turnaround. Walking into week 1, there is no short turnaround. This is opening day. Everybody's rested, ready to go. There could be some rust and jitters. I don't really think so out of the Detroit Lions, who are going to make waves in a dogfight division fight between the Chicago Bears. The Lions and the Bears are going to be battling it out for the first place division win, playoff lock seeding situation. And I don't know who's going to win at this point. I think it's going to be the Bears and the Lions fighting it out with honestly, the Green Bay Packers giving the Vikings a run for their money, because I believe in Jordan Love and what they're doing in Green Bay. It may not be playoff bound because how tough the division is and how tough the conference is, and being there are only 3 wild card spots, and I don't think Green Bay can beat Chicago or Detroit for that division win, locked in playoff spot. seed. So, therefore, Green Bay is going to look really good like Detroit did last year, but not make the playoffs, but look promising. Jordan Love looking promising. I really think Jordan Love is going to be something rather special to where we're not saying he's the next Aaron Rodgers or anything, but I believe by the end of the year or even 4 weeks in, we're going to start saying something along the lines of Green Bay did it again. Green Bay did it again to a degree. Green Bay did it again to a degree because they've had two quarterbacks in their quarterback room commanding the starting lineup. Two different quarterbacks over the course of how many years? Since 1992 or 3? Since 1992 or 1993. Many of your parents weren't even having that romantic candlelight dinner, Netflix and chilling when they thought about maybe having you. And you've had two quarterbacks since then. Literally, Brett Favre, 1992 or 3, I forget the year, all the way through. Aaron Rodgers, all the way through. This is the first year the Green Bay Packers have had another quarterback since 1992 or 1993 when your parents were cooking up you. Okay? That's crazy. That is absolutely crazy. And you got to give the benefit of the doubt a little bit to the Green Bay Packers here. And I truly believe Jordan Love is going to look ultra impressive. I truly believe this team believes in him too. The organization believes in him too. Key players, Alexander, key players on this defense and in this offense and in this organization believe in Jordan Love and are speaking volumes about him. Buckle up on Jordan Love. Jordan Love content is coming down the pike. I'm coming for it. I'm coming for it. I'm going to bring some Jordan Love content. It's coming. Get ready for it. Was alive in 1992. Teenager, says Mealy. I mean, this is crazy. It's crazy what Green Bay's done at running back. Back to Dalvin Cook real quick. Look, Dalvin Cook's not fully healthy. This is a Fugazi news report here, or at least they're reporting Dalvin Cook has said it. That's not Fugazi, but what's Fugazi is that Dalvin Cook is acting like we're dumb. We know his shoulder's mangled, but it's as fully healthy as it can be. They fixed it the best they could. I do believe he can play football. I do believe he'll pass any physical you throw at him because you won't even know what's going on. That thing will crack maybe when he moves it around. Crunch. Oh, hold on. I got to get it through something. Okay, we're good to go. Wind it up. Why am I blanking out on his name? Riggs. He's like Riggs from Lethal Weapon. His shoulder, any point, party trick, pop it out. Boom, good job. Pop it back in. Slam it against the wall. Good to go. Run him back out there. Anybody else, itty bitty little tear in the shoulder, they're done for 4, 6, 7 weeks because they're looking out for the long term, and you can understand that. I can understand why if, let's say, Barkley went out there, tore his labrum, he might sit out, let it heal so he's got some longevity. Cook doesn't care. Cook says spit on it, put a Band-Aid on it, wrap it up, just tie it to me, duct tape it, whatever you got to do. Cook you could duct tape around him like this, and he just hand him the ball, and he'd run around like this. He doesn't care. He's a tough guy. We give it to him. He's a tough guy. Put him in Cincy. Let's see what he can do. Put him in I don't want him in Philly because we like Swift. I'm just saying, if I'm an organization, I go grab this guy. And put him in my lineup no matter what team I am. I don't know why Miami's obviously going to go after him, but Miami should throw everything at him, at least highest bidder type stuff, to get him in because he would be electric in Miami Mike's offense. The Cincinnati Bengals should cut ties with Mixon, free up some money to ink Joe Burrow to a massive contract extension so Joe Burrow can become the number 1 paid quarterback and player in the National Football League, and bring in Dalvin Cook on a real cheap contract and have a much more dynamic running attack. The Buffalo Bills, what are they wasting time with James Cook? I like Damian Harris a little bit, but give me Dalvin Cook in that rotation at least. Not yet, Steven. Hang tight. Hold on. Let me answer this. Steven, I'm in the middle of the news. Make it quick. You got 10 seconds. I would like you to call back because I do appreciate you, Steven. I do want to talk to you, Steven. But in the middle of the news segment, so hit me real quick. 10-second question. Hop off, then call back. Go.
I just want to tell everybody in the chat and tell you, Mr. Smitty, that I'm happy to be back, and happy Father's Day to all the men out there that are doing their jobs and taking care of.
As of right now, my guess is Miami. Do I have any lead on anything? I really don't. I really don't. No one has a lead on anything. Where does he go? Miami. Probably Miami. Says he's good to go. This is going to probably get the ball rolling here. So hang tight. More Dalvin Cook news probably coming this week. Hang tight on that. Stefan Diggs. We do know Stefan Diggs is upset with his role in the offense and voices play calling, concerns, if you will, his demands, if you will. Why are they saying this isn't football related then? Josh Allen said it wasn't football related. ESPN was reporting it wasn't football related. It still is football related. We kind of knew there was something to it, his role in the offense, but I think what they're saying is it wasn't necessarily like contract related or anything like that, but it's still football related, and we're being told it wasn't. We were being told it wasn't. We knew it had something to do with that, but like kind of ridiculous, that everything's always wrong, on these initial reports. But this isn't going away. Now, is it manageable? Maybe, but is it going away? Not necessarily. Is Diggs going to be at his best? I don't know. Could he be? Yeah. Could he be at his best even in this volatile situation? Maybe. But do you know for certain? No. If you say you do know for certain, if you say that Diggs is going to be just fine, Smitty, don't worry about Stefon Diggs. He's going to be just fine. This will be okay. Welcome to the live stream, Diggs owner. Welcome to the live stream. We are glad you're here, but you have a biased, slanted take on it if you think this is all just butterflies and rose petals, because I'll tell you something. Sometimes a volatile player like this is creating animosity inside the locker room, is a poison and a toxic player, and it could prevent this team from jiving, But I do believe he will pull in a 12 to 14 overall fantasy football type of value and production line in stat line in 2023. I'm not a moron. That even Diggs causing problems, being a diva, could still be a top 12 to 14 overall player. But as I say over and over, if you're put in a position to take a Garrett Wilson or a Bijan, you take that player over Stefon Diggs this year. Those players are focused. Those players will be not in the middle of a lot of drama. I think this could be bad for the Buffalo Bills winning a Super Bowl. The chances of them winning a Super Bowl, and a lot of people can laugh and say the Bills won't win a Super Bowl. The Bills are very capable of winning a Super Bowl any given season. If you don't believe that, you are just a hater on the Bills, which is fine. We welcome everybody in the live stream. A lot of people bring their fandom in here, and I love it. Like, you're a KC fan, you're a fan of this team or that team, and you hate the Buffalo Bills. That's fine. But don't act like this team can't win a Super Bowl if they get everything going, firing on all cylinders. The thing about Josh Allen, and I always say this, is he's the kind of guy that can win a Super Bowl one year and just completely blow the entire season the next year. He can throw, a bunch of INTs in a game, come in the next game, win it, and do some remarkable fourth quarter comeback. That's who Josh Allen is. Hit that thumb up button on your way in the door. That's who Josh Allen is, and he'll always be that. And the Bills will always be like this. They won't be the Kansas City Chiefs, like win, don't win, but did really well, win. This is a team that's going to win a Super Bowl in the next 5 or 6 years. I truly believe Josh Allen is that talented. I truly believe they'll bring in another wide receiver once Diggs is out of there. Diggs can't be moved on from because his dead cap money is in the $40 million range. So anybody that has a pipe dream about Diggs getting traded or going somewhere else this offseason, not going to happen. Not with a $40+ million dead cap. It's not going to happen. He's not going anywhere. It doesn't matter if he wants to go anywhere. He's not going anywhere. Diggs is staying put. That $40+ million dead cap makes it so. Just like Kirk Cousins couldn't go anywhere this offseason with a $45+ million dead cap. Not going to happen. But Diggs turns 30 in November. He's not a spring chicken anymore. I know everybody wants a player to defy all the odds and be great until 34 years old. Oh, Diggs is special. He'll be great till 33. Welcome to the live stream, Dynasty Diggs owner. Welcome to the show. Appreciate you. But logically, if you own Diggs in Dynasty, you should be looking around. You should be trying to get into a younger Drake London, a Christian Watson plus a lot, an Olave, maybe even Olave plus a whole lot as well. Watson and Olave might be undervalued to a degree more so than a Garrett Wilson. You're not even going to get a Garrett Wilson for a Diggs. Diggs is turning 30. this November. But is there volatility here? Yeah. Is there a reason to go after Garrett Wilson? Absolutely. Over Diggs and redraft? Absolutely. Give me Garrett Wilson all day long. Shake your head at me, Bills fan. I don't care. That's how I feel. That's how I'm going to do it. This is my show. That's my prediction. I'm taking Garrett Wilson. Plain and simple. And almost everybody in my community will too. I can almost guarantee you that. But Garrett Wilson, Bijan, and guess what? When I'm on the clock and I'm looking at Diggs and I'm staring him right in the face and I'm thinking about drafting him, 9 times out of 10, if not 10 out of 10, guess who's there? At least one of Bijan or Garrett Wilson. That's my point. So when someone says, Smitty, you're not drafting Diggs this year, you're going to see he's going to do well. I'm not saying he won't do well. I'm not saying he can't be 12 to 14 overall capable. I'm not saying he can't have 1,300 yards, 8 or 9 touchdowns, be kind of a diva, still score like a top 15 overall player in fantasy football, have the potential to score as a top 10 overall player for sure, even in certain games, and then maybe he drops off, maybe he causes controversy, maybe he's fine all year long, maybe he's an angel all year long on the sidelines and in the locker room. Very doubtful, but possible. But all I'm saying is I'm not put in a position that I need to go after Diggs because I'll always have the option of having a Garrett Wilson or Bijan. No one's calling him a bust. Paul dropping straight fire in the live stream $20 hauler.
Alert. Super chat alert.
Alert. Alert.
We have a $50 plus super chatter in the house.
Paul, I appreciate you dropping that $50 hauler on screen. And this is a bold prediction. A bold prediction. Anything over $50 gets put on the bold prediction board. And what is his bold prediction? His bold prediction is Anthony Richardson will finish as top 3 QB. Keep killing it, Smitty. That is a bold prediction, my guy. I like it though. I mean, it's bold. It's if that comes true, you have the capability of winning this entire board. These $50 haulers. Let's put it up on the board right now. So this is Paul Wolfer. Paul Wolfer, A. Richardson, top 3 QB. Prediction board. It's supposed to be bold. It's supposed to be bold. You don't come in and say Anthony Richardson's a top 10 quarterback, Smitty. This is a bold prediction. A $50 bold prediction. The winner of this board right here. Let me show you. I guess my mic wasn't working on the other. Sorry about that. This bold prediction board, the point of this bold prediction board is the $50 haulers. Anybody that wins this is going to co-host a show with me. You're going to co-host a show with me. You're going to get a lifetime membership to the Fantasy Football Show content, and you're going to co-host a show, and we'll probably have other prizes as well. But the winner of this big board, $50 hauler bold prediction board, is going to be a marvel across the community. People will be saying, speaking your name through the generations, saying that this guy told me that Anthony Richardson was going to be a top 3 quarterback in fantasy football. Paul Wolfer, nice bold prediction, pal.
To the moon.
To the moon, my guy. I don't know why my mic was muted. I apologize, guys. Okay, Commanders need a miracle. We trash, though, all the way around. Look, Jared, have faith in the Commanders. Have faith in your boy, Sam Howell. Have faith in Dotson. Your team's coming on strong, pal. Your team is coming on strong. Thank you for the $50 hauler. Diggs, again, not calling him a bust, but not somebody I'm going after just because there are better options on the board. Still think he could have a good year, but he's definitely not going to probably have his best year ever, in my opinion. Jalen Warren, The Athletic, is reporting. Again, be careful of Athletic reports because there's a lot of opinion-based stuff. It usually has no fact. These are all usually, The Athletic. I've never heard of this guy in my life. I've read 1,000 Athletic reports over the last couple months, and every person's new. They just keep cycling through them. I don't know who this guy is. I've never heard of him in my entire life. I don't even know if he's a big-time beat reporter in Pittsburgh. I have no clue. He says there's no way the offensive coordinator, Matt Canada, can keep Jalen Warren off the field as much as he did last year. I agree with it for the most part, which is why I'm going to Smitty approve the comment, but there's no evidence here. He's just saying, I like Jalen Warren. This is like my grandma coming out and saying this. And we all going, according to Smitty's grandma, Canada can't keep Jalen Warren off the field. So there's nothing here, but I like it. I approve it. I actually agree with it.
You've just been Smitty approved.
Definitely agree with it. So I just wanted to bring that up just because a lot of what we do here on the show is we report on news, and I either shoot it down, I either tell you I agree with it, and we talk about the factual basis of it, and just kind of talk about the news in general. That is a big news piece because CBS or NBC Sports reported on it. That was an NBC Sports report. That right there was from NBC Sports. So it's big enough news for me to comment on it, but I wanted to tell you that it's got no basis of any kind of fact or coach speak to back it up. But that's okay because we agree with it, and I wanted to bring it up. Jordan Addison, head coach Kevin O'Connell, appreciate the super chat. Rax Poker dropping that. Let me put that right on the screen here and get to that in 1 second. Appreciate you dropping that fire right there. Kevin O'Connell said that he expects Jordan Addison, unspecified injury, to be a full participant by training camp. This is kind of noteworthy because, anytime a rookie either signs their contract really late or they're banged up and they can't really participate and learn things as quickly as you would want them to, it can cause a little bit of a delay in breakout and getting the volume that you're expecting. So this kind of makes me even further tread a little lightly on the expectation level of Addison being a monster out of the gate. I will continue to tell you, I don't hate Addison at all. He was one of my favorite ranked wide receivers. At one point was my number one ranked over the offseason. It kind of went up and down. Flowers, Addison, JSN, just depending on landing spot, obviously. And his landing spot was very good, but it wasn't elite. Because how can he become an elite pass catcher, a number one wide receiver in fantasy football, let alone the number one wide receiver for his team with Justin Jefferson standing in the way and Kirk Cousins' future uncertain and the future signal caller uncertain in Minnesota. So this just has me pump the brakes even more, or at least I feel like a lot of you might pump the brakes at the same time I am, or at least get to my level of saying, look, he can be an elite wide receiver 3 for you in fantasy football 2023, but I feel like some people are taking him as a high-end wide receiver 2, and I just think that the expectation's a little lofty. Something he could meet, I suppose, that expectation. 200 of you in here, punch that thumb up button. But I'm staying away from him at the level some of you are drafting him at. I've seen him go around 4 and 5. That is just way too early for me. I'm taking Watson 1,000 times out of 1,000 over Jordan Addison. I'm taking London way up above him. I'm taking Kenneth Walker. I'm taking Justin Fields as an early quarterback option, or Joe Burrow over Addison. People need to pump the brakes and make Addison a high-end wide receiver 3 at best. Don't be drafting this guy to be an elite wide receiver 2 for you when he's even going to get a slow start potentially. Doesn't mean I don't like him. Doesn't mean I don't like him at all. People are getting the wrong idea when I say stay away from someone at their ADP versus, hey, if their ADP falls a little bit, I'm back on board. That means I like the player. I just don't love the ADP. So understand that. Rax Poker says 1 keeper, maybe 2, have to vote Kelsey 2nd, St. Brown 6, D-Hop 6, Pacheco 15, Christian Watson 16, pick 1 and a 2nd just in case. Wow. St. Brown in the 6 is pretty good, but I'd probably go Watson in 16, bro, because Watson's arguably a 3rd round player, and you're getting him at 16 round value. And especially if you get to keep this value going forward, it makes it a very, very intriguing play for not only the now and being worth the now move, but also a better move for the future. I would say St. Brown might be the next in line there in the sixth spot, or the sixth round. And if you felt a little uneasy about Christian Watson, you could go St. Brown. That's a hell of a steal in the sixth round to be worth doing it and saying, look, you can play games with this guy's rounds later. I could get this guy to later round. You start getting caught up in the who's got the better, keeper round, and you end up losing sight of what you're trying to accomplish. Like St. Brown in the sixth round is plenty value. You don't have to look at somebody in the 14th or 16th round who you like a little lesser and say, because I get that extra round advantage, I got to take it. Take the guy you believe to be the best player of the lot, and you're getting a hell of a deal in St. Brown in round 6. But I probably go Christian Watson round 16 because I believe in him, and then St. Brown would be my second choice. Appreciate that super chat, my man. Sending you to the moon. Final thing, and then we're going to open the phone lines up. Steven, you can call back. Anybody wants to call back in. We got David subscribing to the channel. David, appreciate you, my guy. J.K. Dobbins, the Athletic. Here we go again. I'm telling you, Roto World is in bed with the Athletic, or they own them or something, because they just, any opinion piece they just report it as news automatically. Athletic writes, this writer I've never heard of in my life. It's been clear that Todd Monken has prioritized playing at a faster pace, getting the backs involved in the passing game, and executing in the red zone at Ravens minicamp. This is good news, and I do believe this also to be true. I'm not saying the Athletic reporters are always wrong, or even majority of the time wrong. There's just so many of them without an ability to really even know their background or credentials, that if one of them posts something wrong, it's just like you may never see them again. I don't even understand how they have so many. I don't know if they're all volunteers, if they're half of them are staffers, half of them aren't, but they're like a million Athletic writers all over the place. And I just don't know. I don't know who this guy is, so I can't give you a stamp of approval on what he's saying here. I can just tell you that it aligns with my expectation of Monken and this offense. But I will say that given that J.K. Dobbins is in a mini holdout, I don't know that we can be all that excited about his fifth round or high sixth round ADP when you're looking at other players like potentially Joe Burrow falls to 4 to top of 6. I'd rather have Justin Fields in round 5. Then go J.K. Dobbins. Madison's kind of around that territory. DeAndre Swift is a round or a round and a half later. I've seen Kenneth Walker go at 5.2 before. So it just depends on who's available. J.K. Dobbins is one of the more injury-prone players in the National Football League at the running back position. Am I excited about him? Yes. Is this the most excited I've been about J.K. for a long time? Absolutely, since his rookie year. But now he's holding out and got these, all of a sudden, these big brass balls where he thinks he's got some leverage to hold out when he's never stayed healthy. How in the hell is he going to hold out and get a contract when he's never stayed healthy? Doesn't make sense at all. So, JK, good luck with your mini holdout. I don't know if you're going to flex for a couple days, realize no one's paying attention, and then show up with your tail tucked between your legs. But get back to work and start learning the new offense, JK. You can't afford to not know this offense front and back. You can't afford to walk into Monken's offense behind the game and then all of a sudden you're playing second fiddle or in a running back by committee because you think you can hold out and you have some sort of leverage. Now's not the time. They're installing a new offense. Lamar's learning it at the same time. Everyone's learning this new offense, and you're going to sit there on the sidelines? You're going to hold out for what? You have no reason or any justification that warrants a holdout. So get to camp, start learning the new offense, start getting involved in what should be more passes going to the RB. The Ravens, I think, ranked in the bottom 5 of dishing passes to their RBs in the backfield. No checkdowns or dump offs. It was literally bottom 5, I believe, is the statistic in the entire National Football League. Monken definitely will up that into at least the middle of the pack in the NFL. Some of it's because Lamar takes a lot of those opportunities. He tucks it and runs. He doesn't dump it off. He says, I'll take this one. And he takes it. That's what happens with Josh Allen, too. Josh Allen doesn't throw, and they don't utilize their RBs enough because Josh Allen will tuck it and run. But it seems like Monken is trying very aggressively to change how they utilize Lamar in the ways that are dangerous and make him susceptible to injury. Does feel like Monken does want his RBs involved, and his track record does support that. So this would be a great time for JK to get to work. and try and grab a foothold on that starting job. So JK, take a lap. We got something going on here. I don't know if these might be recurring members from the last Super Chat, but Paul Wolfer, appreciate you dropping that bold prediction. All right, let's open the phone lines. Steven, you can call back in. I'll take as many questions in the chat as I can. If you guys would like to super chat, that puts you right at the front of the line. Let's dial in.
Call into the show. Call into the show.
Dial into the show, and let's do it. Dobbins, you will get your bag after you produce. Exactly, Robert. It's ridiculous that JK thinks in some way, shape, or form he has the ability to hold out. Where's the Superflex content, says Derek. You know what's funny about this comment, and Derek, please don't take this the wrong way. I'm merely trying to explain to you, what is funny about this comment to me is like the content can be whatever you want it to be. I literally go live between an hour and a half to 3.5 hours every single day between 7 p.m. and like 10 p.m. on this regularly scheduled show. I don't go live Monday evenings and Wednesday evenings, but I literally am live at midnight Eastern every single day on top of the 7 p.m. show. So not only am I live for 3 straight hours pretty much, or 2.5 to 3 straight hours at 7 p.m. every single Monday through Friday, I'm live at midnight every single day, but maybe 2 days a week, Monday and Wednesday. And so the content can be whatever you want it to be, Derek. If you want to talk Superflex, you can ask me a Superflex question in a super chat, dial into the phone line at any time, at any moment, and we can make content on the fly about whatever you want. I'm not saying I won't produce Superflex content. I absolutely do produce Superflex content, and I have a how to win and dominate your league video coming up. It's kind of a refresh of last year and something I talked about earlier, how to win with a top 6, top 7 overall Superflex draft selection. Now, it's a lot harder to win in the 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, or 11, 12 if you play in a 14-team league. But if you're playing in a 12-team Superflex, a 12 pick to like the 9 pick is a lot harder to win. So I have different strategies to deploy there. But literally, you can ask me a question at any moment, Derek, and we can make it a super flex segment. You know what I'm saying? So dial into the show more often and let's answer some super flex questions for people that might want it. There goes the neighborhood, says Sean. I'm not sure what that means. JK fully healed, definitely worth the risk as my 3rd running back. Yeah, but where are you drafting him? And he's got to get into camp, bro. He can't hold out. As I say, you hold out until the July 17 deadline of a lot of these extensions and what teams are doing. Everything kind of comes down to that July 17 date. You have a huge risk of injury. Hit that thumb up button on your way in the door. Smitty, this is real important to you. Do you see the report that draft shark said Olave has an issue with his Achilles? We've talked about this, Eric. This is old news. But you just monitor it. He's got not an Achilles injury per se. He's got just inflammation or like tightness, which is essentially like the bottom of your calf that connects to the Achilles. If you probably asked him, he'd probably say it's more of a calf injury than it is an Achilles. Your Achilles, where it connects to your calf, sometimes can be sore. A lot of times that's a calf injury. We monitor it, but I'm not concerned about it. He didn't tear his Achilles. He doesn't have an Achilles injury. It is just like tightness. It's tightness is something that happens all the time. I had it a couple months ago when I was running, and it was like I was like, is that my Achilles? And I was like worried about it, obviously, but it was nothing. It just, you rest it for a couple days, and you a lot of times have no other issues with it. But we'll monitor it, because what if that report's wrong? What if he did have some sort of we'll take it by day, but I mean, it's not affecting my draft value whatsoever, Eric. But this is old news. We've talked about that before, but maybe somebody here hasn't seen that update from me, so I appreciate you asking it. What's up, Swaggy? What's going on, Matt? What's up, Isaac? Anything to ease the pain at not knowing how to draft Okay. Thank you, Isaac. Appreciate you. Superflex is a fun challenge, says Edward. I don't blame running backs for sitting out of camp. Yeah, but Hod, I get what you're saying, but it causes and leads to a higher probability of injury. So I get it too, but I mean, if Barkley's goal is to get a long-term deal and he's not making headway with this team, now I think that they do get something done, but if he holds out till July 17 and then Barkley is forced on his one-year contract, whether he signs it or not, guess what happens? He's got a higher likelihood of injury. He gets injured on the franchise tag because he isn't there during July. The majority of July, almost 2/3 of July will be gone and in the rear view, and then he gets injured. How is he going to get his long-term deal after his franchise tag year? So it's I understand what he's going for, but hopefully a deal gets signed soon. Marty, appreciate you. Judging isn't awesome. I don't know what that means. PPR made tight ends and wide receiver 4s relevant and reduced the importance of running backs. Everybody's tweaked scoring to try and recorrect what they've done. It's like PPR created this diminished value in this area. Then they started making tight end premium to vault tight ends back up in Superflex to give quarterbacks value back, because quarterbacks before PPR had a lot more value, or 6 points per TD pass got moved down to 4 points per TD pass. Everybody keeps tweaking and screwing with their scoring. And my advice is to do something along the lines of standard PPR so that content creation can mirror what you're doing. When people have these crazy scoring systems and you watch a show, you're not going to know what to do because no one knows your scoring. And it doesn't matter how experienced you are. If you come to me with a Superflex, 3-quarterback Superflex with tight end premium and 0.5 point per carry, and then you've got, also only wide receivers get special team points, I have no idea what I'm supposed to tell you to do. All you got to do is look at your projected, points and sort it and look for outliers and go, well, damn. That wide receiver's ranking high because of his special teams involvement, and literally it's hard to help you. I can only help you with navigating which player is better than which player, and then you applying it to your scoring and doing all that. Ron Navy, you are live, young man.
Hey, Smitty.
What's up?
Unfortunately, I'm not calling in about football.
Uh-oh.
I'm calling in to get the power of prayer from our community. The wife had x-rays done on her shoulders to get her shoulders because they've been bothering her. Well, in that process, they captured part of her right lung, and I got a call from the lung specialty people over there at the hospital saying that they found a mass about the size of a lime on her right lung. So we got to go in Wednesday and get a CAT scan done as the first step, and then go from there. But I'm just asking community to keep her in their prayers and stuff, because there's nothing like power prayers.
Yeah, man, I'm so sorry to hear about that. Guys, drop some prayer emojis for Ron Navy, Miss Ron Navy, Miss Navy. And, man, keep me updated on that. I haven't been on IG at all today because I had both the kids.
Yeah,
here.
I left it on there. But
yeah, so sorry.
I don't want to be a downer.
No, drop some prayer emojis.
We don't know, the extent of everything. The lady did say that if it is cancerous, it's early stage. So at this point, it would be operated on. That's all that would be needed, as long as it didn't go into her lymph nodes stuff. So
all right, well, drop a prayer
just
emoji.
one day at a time.
Hey, last time we had somebody come in here with something like that, we dropped a bunch of those and ended up working out well. So we'll throw them out and get some positive vibes going. So drop those out, guys. But sorry to hear about that, Ron. But we have
no better community than community. So yeah, I appreciate everybody.
Hopefully this ends up being one of those false alarm situations, or a very easy thing to handle. All right. Well, Scott's also on the line. Scott, what's going on? Is this Scared Scott?
Yes. In fact, I'm going to give you the next person I'm scared of.
Okay. Hold on. I got to rename you Scared Scott. Hold on. Scared Scott. Okay. All right, Scared Scott. Who are you scared about today? Because I don't remember.
Wilson.
Garrett Wilson?
Yeah.
Come on, Scared Scott.
Here's the reason.
Hold on. Let me put Garrett Wilson's name on screen here. So if anybody doesn't remember, Scared Scott called in yesterday and said he's scared about Patrick Mahomes, and he says that he's scared that he has no options past Kelsey, even though I tried to convince him that that he could do it with literally Kelsey, McKinnon, and Pacheco. If, let's say, what Scared Scott says is true, and there's no value in Kadarius Toney, there's no value in Rashee Rice, who they like a lot, and if, let's say, Kadarius Toney and Sky Moore failed, the very slow unraveling and progression of rookie wide receivers or rookies under Andy Reid would be, like we've seen Kareem Hunt, his rookie year do well. We've seen, he's definitely relied on rookies before when there's been a necessity. He has no problem advancing and maturing a rookie along. So let's just say, keep those prayer emojis going for Ron Navy's wife, guys. Let's just say for any reason, those wide receivers fail. Rashee Rice is a really good wide receiver, bro. He gets vaulted right into the lineup. So honestly, we debunked it right away. And bro, you kept telling me that Mahomes was going in the first round in ADP. You're like, Smitty, I'm telling you, he's going in the first round. He's not, Scott. Nowhere except for this weird platform you draft on that I've never heard of in my life, and I've done this professionally for 20 plus years. Yeah, I've never heard of this platform you draft on. I'm not going to even promote them at all. But you're drafting with people that don't know what they're talking about. And Scott, that's actually kind of good. You're going to clean up if you apply the logic over here. Over there on this weird platform where Mahomes is going number 3 overall in a 1 QB format. But Scott, it worries me that you aren't going to take the knowledge from this situation and apply it over there, because you and I are disagreeing on everything. You're worried about Mahomes. Now you call in and tell me you're worried about Garrett Wilson. I mean, tell me what's worrying you, Scared Scott.
They have one of the worst offensive lines in all of football. Rodgers is definitely on a decline. His rating was the lowest that it's ever been as a starter last year. He threw the most interceptions he's thrown since his rookie season, his first year as a starter season. The strength of schedule against Garrett Wilson is bottom 10. You've got a lousy offensive line and a quarterback on decline, and at 40 years old. So what scares me is where he's actually. I can't put him above Diggs. I can't.
Of course you can. Of course you can. You need. Hey, of course, Scott. You've got to see something in front of you. You need Captain Obvious, or you're not rolling the dice. I can't believe in Kadarius Toney. I can't believe in Aaron Rodgers rejuvenating his career. Scott, he's going against, in practice, the best defense in football.
Top 5.
He's going after.
I don't see a pathway to top 5.
Okay, you're not worried about. You're not worried about Diggs, a drama queen, creating havoc and chaos, and oh, yeah, you're not worried about that.
He's been an ass since his first day in the league. Everybody knows it.
Scott, you don't believe in guys that haven't done it yet. That's what it is. You have to. It's got to be Captain Obvious for you before you're going to jump on board.
I'm drafting Robinson in the first round and everything.
Okay, well, you're paying attention to something at least, bro. The Jets do not have one of the worst offensive lines in the league. I don't know where you got that information. Number 2, they were putrid. The offense was putrid last year because they didn't have a signal caller. You can't judge offensive line production off of whether the team's moving the football down the field when they don't have a quarterback, bro. Not to mention,
I'm from Louisville. They've got Becton starting. Are you kidding me? That man can't stay on the field.
What are you talking, bro?
Offensive line sucks.
Scott, when your voice gets this high, I know you're upset. Okay, talking about?
I never get upset.
Okay, Scott. Scott, you're judging this offensive line production, this offense in general. You're judging Aaron Rodgers before you've even seen how it looks. You are judging Aaron Rodgers based on what he did last year, coming out of a season with a different team, with a different defense, with a different set of wide receivers, and I'm hearing nothing but glorious things out of Jets camp with Aaron Rodgers' connection with Garrett Wilson and how good Garrett Wilson's the leap he's gonna take walking into 2023. You're gonna be so upset you have no Garrett Wilson shares. Mark my words. He's top 1 to 5.
I have some Garrett Wilson shares. I'm not saying I'm not drafting him. I just don't see
He's scared. Okay.
anything above,
Just scared.
say, a number 10 finish.
Wow. Wow, bro. We could, Scott, I don't even know why you follow me, to be honest. I'm glad you do. And I'm glad you're here. And even though you tire me out. You do. It's like taking a couple hours off my life every minute.
And he has his favorite target from his last.
Oh, come on,
last
bro!
stop
Don't even go there. Are you doing what people are doing? A lot of oblivious Oscars in the comments. Hold on, Scott, hold on. Oblivious Oscars are the only ones that come in and say, "Oh, he's gonna lock onto Lazard or Cobb." Don't you realize those are his targets? He's not going to throw to Garrett Wilson.
I'm just saying he's going to look their way at times.
Bro, he's going to look their way because they're on his team.
I think a 10 is about where he finishes.
Let me tell you something, Scott. Garrett Wilson is going to flirt with the 1 to 5 wide receiver territory all year long. I didn't stutter. I'm not saying that, and I'm not aware of what I'm saying. I'm saying he's going to dance. I'm not saying he finishes above Chase and JJ, but he will dance with them all year long. This Aaron Rodgers is going up against the best defense in the National Football League. He's going up against the best cornerback in the National Football League in Sauce Gardner. Those two are tooling each other's game on the daily. And for you to judge even the Jets defense last year and say, oh, they were good, I like them. They're going to be the best defense in the National Football League because they're going to be going up against Aaron Rodgers every day in practice. They're going to feed off each other, and Aaron Rodgers is fine-tuning his game every single time he steps on that Jets practice field. This is going to be glory.
Likewise, they have to go against the Patriots defense. They have to go against the Dolphins defense twice a year on both of them. They're both highly rated.
Bro,
I don't see him finishing in the top 5. I think it's bottom top 10,
Look,
maybe 8 at the highest, but more. I just don't see it.
Okay, I mean, I can't convince you. I can't the good news about this archaic circa 1993 platform you're playing on. Is Garrett Wilson they probably have no clue over there. Garrett Wilson's a first-round pick. They probably have no clue. I bet you Garrett Wilson goes at the bottom of 2 to the 2-3 turn. I bet you Olave's a third-round lock. You got people drafting quarterbacks in the first round over on this platform in a 1 QB league. Scott's cleaning up. Okay, Scott.
Not to mention the players that got on their homepage are like 2 decades old.
Yeah, Scott, I looked at the platform. They've got Frank Gore. They've got Chad Ochocinco back when he was named Chad Johnson on the homepage of this platform, bro. You think they're updating everything on that site when they can't even update their player graphics? On the homepage of the platform you're playing on, they have Chad Johnson.
What does the platform have to do with anything?
Because you're coming in here telling me that Mahomes is ADPs in the first round, Scott. You're coming in here saying, Smitty, I'm seeing it. I'm seeing it. A bunch of drafts.
He's going
nowhere in the first round, Scott.
In the first, it's somebody who wants him that doesn't think it's going to make it back to him in the second, or he's going early in the second round.
Scott, he's going nowhere. Not one time I've ever seen in the first round in a
Have you done any redrafts?
Scott, you're only doing drafts on this archaic circa 1993 platform. Is what I'm. You're not listening to me, Scott. You're not listening to me. You think Mahomes, you're preparing for this weird league that you're playing in on this weird platform. You're preparing without the correct information. Like you're thinking that first of all, you called in yesterday and said, I'm not taking Mahomes as the first quarterback in fantasy when I can take Hurts in late second round. Hurts is getting drafted over Mahomes a lot of the time now. Like Hurts, you don't have the correct information, which is it's going to be hard for you to walk into this draft and apply logic to it because you're thinking that ADPs are different than they are. In this Spider-Verse that you're in, this alternate universe, you're drafting Mahomes, or you're seeing people draft him at 3 overall in a 1 QB format. That you can't prepare for football like that, bro. And you can't come in and say Mahomes has got a first-round ADP. Scott, your ADP and what you're seeing is not anything we're seeing, and we'll never see it. We'll never see it.
He's going. If you do an ESPN draft, he's going in the first round.
No, he's not, Scott.
I see him taken there all the time. That or early second.
Oh, you can't use both now.
Rarely does he make it to the middle of the second round.
He's a second-round pick. That's a whole different topic. You're saying he's in the first round a lot. He's not. If you're drafting in 2 QB leagues, he's not.
Seeing it.
Bro, the platform you play on looks, as someone Carrick says, it looks like it was made by an 8th grader. It's not updated. It's not updated. Okay.
What does the platform have to do with anything with people drafting?
Ron, would you explain it to him? He's arguing ADPs. I don't know what to do here. He's arguing ADPs from the only platform he knows.
You're stuck in the early 2000s.
Yeah,
the only time Mahomes ever goes in the first round if it's the 12th pick on the turn. Oh. That's the only time.
All right.
Scott. In best ball?
Yeah, in a normal this century league. Yeah.
How many? This guy's asking Ron. This guy's asking Ron Navy how many drafts he's done. Ron,
how many drafts have you done?
Okay, let me tell you something.
Best ball redraft.
Scott, people don't redraft on the regular right now unless you go to an archaic platform where they're kind of
I'm telling you, that's where he's going in.
All right, I'm done with this topic. I can't even convince this man. He calls in talking about his ADP, and then he says, "What's the platform have to do with it?" You can't call in and have a Patrick Mahomes goes in round 1 conversation on a show that doesn't draft in your world. It just that doesn't work. Give me one other person you're scared of, Scott, and then I'm going to move on. I'm telling you that.
That was just Garrett today. I want to save him.
All right, Scott.
Future selves.
Scott, you know what I want you to do? I want you to call in once a day or every other day and give me a player you're worried about. We'll call it the Scared Scotty segment.
I'll do that.
Okay, Scott, appreciate you. Call back if you have another scared player you want to bring up today. Appreciate you, Scott. I'm sorry it sounds like I'm really hard on you and I yell at you a lot. I do appreciate you. You're good for this show, but you do wear me out. But I still love you, pal. You're like that annoying kid in school that you're kind of actually depressed when he's not there at school. You know, you're like, hey, I kind of miss that guy. All right,
later, bro.
All right, later, Scott. Ron, he wears me out because it's like I can't. You know, for the sake of the show, I should just move around it, but I can't help myself but to try and convince him of logic. But anyway, Anthony dropped a bold prediction real quickly. Hold on, we got to do this, Ron, and then we'll come back to this. Garrett Wilson. I want to get your take on Garrett Wilson. Anthony dropping a $50 holler.
Alert. Super chat alert.
$20 super chat. $20 super chat.
Anthony dropping a $50 hauler. Bold prediction: Kincaid finishes as the #1 fantasy tight end. I love it. That's the boldest Kincaid prediction yet. It's right along my lines of of crazy, and I like it. And you're gonna hold the Kincaid. Like someone could call in and put in like a like another Kincaid prediction, but he's kind of cornerstoned it because he's picked him as number 1, so it's gonna be hard to compete with it. So let's put this on the board here. This is Dalton Kincaid, number 1 tight end by Anthony T. Anthony T. Kincaid, number 1 tight end. Let me see if I can hold on. I gotta put that back. Okay, Anthony, tight end number 1, Anthony T. And today is the 19th. So June 19, Anthony T. Kincaid, tight end 1. Wow, I like it, bro. I like it, bro.
Somebody could outdo it though. Come in and say Kincaid Rookie of the Year.
And yeah, Rookie of the Year and tight end 1. I guess they could. But don't feel like, Anthony, you made a mistake by making it just that, because if he doesn't get Rookie of the Year, you're going to beat that person because your prediction didn't miss. You know what I mean? So just having the boldest take isn't the best, because what if you don't land it? Like if someone says Kincaid's going to have 1,500 yards and 50 TDs, they're not going to win it if he has an amazing year because they missed their prediction hardcore. So it doesn't mean, Anthony, you need to one-up it or change it. But, yeah. I'll try not to overdo the Scott content. I know a lot of you said, like, why are we giving this guy this much, screen time? Because he's just irrational. I like Scott, but he's living in this little compartmentalized world, and he's thinking we all should understand it when we don't. He's playing in an archaic environment, and he's trying to convince me of ADP data when he only drafts on a circa 1993 platform that has like an 8-bit logo and hasn't been updated in like 20 years. It's got Chad Johnson and Frank Gore and some running back. I have no idea who it is. I think it might be. I think it might have Rudy Johnson from the Bengals, I think, on there too. Like that's the players on the front page. And he's talking about ADP data. As far as Garrett Wilson, like, look, and Ron, I'll go, since you're on the line, I want to tell you this too, because I know you'll appreciate this. There are 2 defenses that I think are going to, even though people see them coming, are going to shock people. I think it's, 1, the Pittsburgh Steelers defense. This could be a top 3 defense this year. Like, you got guys back healthy. The offense will be better. And as I always say with Aaron Rodgers, cascading into the defense field position, the offense helps support the defense helps support the offense. The fact that the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to have a better offensive line by quite a bit. Offensive line, advancement in production from the wide receiver room. Kenny Pickett is looking, beefed up, strong. I temper expectations on fantasy production, but from a football perspective, winning games, grit, and determination, Kenny Pickett is looking better every single day. And so Najee Harris, who I have concerns about efficiency-wise, needing that volume in order to produce, is going to have a better offensive line and probably have the volume to do it. And then we'll see if he can, kind of shake free that label of needing that volume. Maybe he can be ultra efficient and all that. He's a great pass catcher. So Kenny Pickett with this improved defense and the defense having the improved offense, I think like in New York, the Steelers could climb the ranks and be really a huge steal in fantasy football and be a big scoring defense, And they got the Niners in week 1, and everybody's expecting the Niners to win that game. And we don't know what's going on at the quarterback position. They might be jostled and not in tune in the Steeler defense like they did in week 1 against my boy Joe Burrow. I have to admit, they rocked his world. The Steelers defense could have another big week 1 outing. And so I think the Jets and the Steelers are going to be so good on defense. These offenses are going to have so much better field position, that the touchdowns, the production, the offensive efficiency. So offensive line, Scott was running his mouth about the Jets having such a bad offensive line. I don't know what makes him think he can judge the offensive line production off of a rotating carousel of quarterbacks last year and an injured ACL, torn Breece Hall. The whole offense just was crumbling, and they were still doing well and like showcasing that there's a lot of upside there. Garrett Wilson is going to have a phenomenal year. And Aaron Rodgers' quick release, spreading the ball around. I don't think someone like Scott understands or appreciates how much the offensive line is going to improve production-wise, measurement-wise, metrics-wise, when you have a quarterback that's going to be releasing the football so quickly and spreading it out and throwing deep passes, deep shots to Garrett Wilson and this wide receiver room, and dumping it off to Breece Hall. I don't think he appreciates that the defense gets spread out so much. I don't think we're going to be saying a single word about this offensive line in a negative way. I think it's going to be so much different. It's kind of like when I would say when Kurt Warner came to Arizona, his quick release, his ability to spread the field. Cardinals offensive line was thought to be awful when Kurt Warner arrived. Never mentioned again. Never mentioned again. The offensive line was no longer a problem. So Garrett Wilson is going to be fine. Aaron Rodgers is going to be fine. He is older. There is a risk of injury. I get that. He had the calf injury already, but that's over. That was a non-issue. People just glorified it because he's older and he had a calf injury. He was just sitting out, precautionary. Aaron Rodgers is in for a big year. I wouldn't be shocked if Aaron Rodgers was a top 7 quarterback in fantasy football this year. I wouldn't be shocked if Aaron Rodgers was in the top 4 or 5 in touchdown passes. I wouldn't be shocked at all. And he's one of my favorite best ball quarterbacks to pair with another quarterback that you're going a little risky after, like potentially an Anthony Richardson as your QB1. But you also draft Aaron Rodgers to support that. Jordan Love and Aaron Rodgers together is an outstanding combination. Ron, I know you'd like to add anything on the Pittsburgh Steelers situation. Any specifics that you're hearing in Pittsburgh or you want to address in terms of supporting what I just said about the Pittsburgh Steelers defense being a surprise top 3 or 4 defense?
Well, I think you're hitting the nail on the head with the Jets and Pittsburgh. I think the Pittsburgh is getting back to where they want to be, and that's running the ball. So I'm not expecting Pickett to, have a 4,000-yard passing year. When I'm big on Pickett, that's not how I'm big on him. I'm big on him in the fact when they come up to try to stop the run, he's going to be that much more improved on throwing the ball down the field when he has to. And making decisions and the right decisions and stuff like that. So, yes, I think he has a bigger year this year, but they're going to focus on the run. They're going to focus on Najee. They're going to focus on, even Najee said Jalen Warren is going to be utilized more. So that athletic report is kind of right in a way because that's what they're saying in the locker room.
Yeah.
And at the Steelers, that's what they're saying. So, and I feel the Jets are the same kind of type of team with the defense and they got the weapons. And if Breece Hall is back, then they got the same type of combination where they can run the ball, and when they come up to try to stop the run, that's going to open up all the weapons going down the field, and Aaron Rodgers is going to take advantage of that.
Yeah,
every bit of it.
Yeah, I think.
So I agree with you 100%.
And where are the Steelers going? Let me take a look at. Let me use. I'll do it over here. Where is Garrett Wilson going in average consensus range? Or I'm sorry, not Garrett Wilson. Steelers defense. Let me look at consensus data across the industry for defenses, and let's really truly identify the sleeper potential of the Pittsburgh Steelers. They are being ranked number 10. That's below KC, Denver, Baltimore, New England. The Jets are number 5. The Eagles are 4, Bills 3, Dallas Cowboys 2, San Francisco 49ers 1. I think the Pittsburgh Steelers, as of this moment, I think the Jets are probably my favorite defense to draft because of the field position that offense is going to put the defense in. The defense is going to be fresh, creating turnovers. Sauce Gardner is going to become a legend. He already is, but he's going to become an even bigger legend after this season. I think the Steelers at 10, ranked number 10 in consensus data for defensive rankings 2023, and the Jets 5 are the 2 biggest steals in fantasy football. And the great news about that is people will tell you, I don't draft a defense till the final round, and I usually am the kind of person that says, I won't draft a defense or a kicker so I can accumulate more RB home run threats, and then right before week 1, I'll drop whatever players I need to. but I want to try and hold a lot of those potential situations, especially if injury happens or a breakout wide receiver like a Justin Ross. I want to hold as long as I can, and then if I got to drop a kicker, I will. I believe this is a year where I won't be advising people to do that with the kicker, or I'll do that with the kicker position. I don't think you really need to draft a kicker until right before week 1. But a defense, I don't think I'm going to be given much advice on holding off on a defense. I think what I will be doing is telling you to take a defense like the Jets or the Steelers right like at that second to last round, and that's when most people will come in and start doing it. And I think that in the round prior, the third to last round, you might get somebody that takes the Niners. You might get somebody that takes the Dallas Cowboys. I think if you're at the beginning of that second to last round, I would take your defense there. I would grab, if you can, the Jets. If you can't, the Pittsburgh Steelers. And then you're going to have a huge advantage and not have to play matchups every week. And these will be two defenses that will be better than a rotation for you. But you can still throw in a rotation. You can still pick up a team that's playing the Raiders, or a team that's playing the Cardinals, or a team that's playing the Titans each week, or whatever bottom, cellar dweller team you see that's going to create 10, 15, 20-point games. You can still play that off of the Pittsburgh Steelers and Jets defensive, situation. But I would grab those two defenses if I had to give anybody defensive advice, and close the book on defenses and never mention it again, because I'm not a huge team defensive like content creator. But like I say, my phone lines are open all show, and I'm live like 6 hours a day. If anybody wants to talk defenses, they can call up and say what special teams defensive unit do you like this year. Anybody can ask those questions, but those would be my two picks.
I think the Jets and the Steelers both have. Well, I know the Steelers, but I'm pretty sure the Jets also have early bye weeks. I think it's 6 and 7.
Let's see. New York Jets bye week. I don't know off the top of my head. Let me see.
Well, Steelers I know.
Number 7, week 7.
Yeah, and Steelers are 6. The first bye week's 5, and that's
and the New York Jets schedule. So in week 1 they play the Buffalo Bills. Week 2 they play the Dallas Cowboys. Those are tough matchups in a sense, but I don't think I let that sway me away from benching the Jets defense, because look, Josh Allen could go out there and throw 3 or 4 interceptions. Dak Prescott could go out there and throw 3 or 4 interceptions. Mac Jones in week number 3 could throw 3 or 4 interceptions. In week 4 against that's regular season. In week 4 against the Chiefs, maybe that's when you've got a Cardinals matchup with another defense, and you do pick up a sort of rotation or whatever. But even in that situation, I still think I could score 7-8 points in just causing fumbles or something. Maybe this inexperienced rookie or wide receiver room makes a mistake or two. There's still a potential. Denver week 5. There's a lot of opportunity there for the New York Jets early on in the season. And then week number 17, Cleveland Browns. I think Deshaun Watson is very capable of causing turnovers. As much as I love Sam Howell, the Washington Commanders in week 16, as much as I love the Miami Dolphins and Miami Mike, what happens if Tua's out in week number 15? The Jets have a very nice weeks 15, 16, 17. Miami, Washington, Cleveland. The week prior, Houston. The week prior, Atlanta. The week prior, Miami again. Weeks 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 is great for the Jets. They could be a gem in fantasy football scoring down the stretch. Real quickly, Ron, let me read these real quick. Bold prediction: Barry Sanders will rush for 1,500 yards on Scott's platform. Maybe, bro. Maybe. They still have Rudy Johnson, I believe is the graphic up. Mike says prayers from Cleveland for Mrs. Navy. Thank you, Mike. Appreciate that, guys. Keep dropping prayer emojis for Ron. Ron, again, I didn't check my IG in case you sent me a message. I didn't. I've been away all day today.
I did.
So my bad.
That's if you didn't. I did.
My bad if you didn't see me reply yet. He's reading articles from the 80s about the Jets O-line. Maybe, bro. It might be a news update. Vampy, appreciate your super chat. Giancarlo, rookie draft pick 1.9 and 2.5 for Amari Cooper and Waller. I'd probably take Amari Cooper and Waller. The only thing that would make me hesitate is, like, let's say you had Kenneth Walker and you had a chance to get Charbonnet with that 1.9 or Kincaid. That could change it for me. Like, do I want Kincaid over Waller? Yes. Do I want Kincaid over Amari in Dynasty? Yes. Do I want Charbonnet over either one? Yes. But both of those guys, Amari Cooper and Waller, I feel like Amari Cooper's trade value is pretty good. I feel like you're getting two really good components there. If you can't win with Amari Cooper and Waller, then maybe you think about that a little differently. But Waller and Cooper are very good additions for 1.9 and 2.5, but it just depends on who falls there. Like, I like Kincaid so much that, part of me thinks I could tell you yes right now based on if you needed those two pieces, but later on regretting even telling you that because I love Kincaid so much. What if he's the next Travis Kelce? Like, in retrospect, and I'm not saying he is the next Travis Kelce, but he very, very much could be the closest thing available at all to being the next Travis Kelce. So therefore, you got to think of it that way. Do you believe he's the next Travis Kelce? Do you believe he's the next tight end one for, a decade to come? If you do, would you make this trade for Travis Kelce in his younger years? No, you wouldn't. So, I don't know. I go back and forth. And maybe you don't even get Kincaid at 1.9. That's another reason why I'm kind of speculating that, you do it and it helps you. But if you can't win, I wouldn't necessarily do it. We got Scott calling back in. Scared Scott. What are you scared about somebody else?
No, y'all were just talking about defenses. I got a theory for that one for this year. Okay. Look at the Texans' schedule. I'm pretty sure that they've only got 5 teams on there that people are drafting on defenses that they play all year. So that gives you 12 games by streaming against the Texans. So if you stay 2 games ahead, you should be able to pick them all up as you move through the season. So watch the Texans.
Ron,
key them as the team to beat up on.
Ron, do you want me to tell? Ron, you want me to tell him? You want me to tell him, or do you want to tell him, Ron?
You can tell him.
I think you're underestimating the Texans a little bit there, Scared Scott. I think you're scared about the Texans rebuilding. I think you're a couple years behind on what's going on, Scott. They're building. Caserio knows what he's doing. They're building a really nice squad, Scott. They're building a really nice team.
Quarterbacks throw a lot of interceptions.
I know you're scared of rookie. I know you're scared of rookie quarterbacks. And Scott, I'm not huge on Stroud from a fantasy football perspective. Kind of treat him similar to Ron just explained about Kenny Pickett. I'm expecting nice things out of Stroud. I'm expecting Stroud to turn Tank Dell, Scott, into a top three fantasy football. What do you what?
It doesn't have do you go out on the
lowest all-time score on
the field with the paper and pencil and take a test? No. You use your eyeball. Look at what he's done. Look at the passes that he's done. He's like, come on, Scott, don't be crazy.
Scott, you're scared. Scott's scared of tests now. Scott, you're scared of tests. You're scared of a lot of unproven stuff. Scott, I've pegged you. I got
a lot of guys in the league with a lot of talent that fail because they can't.
Scott, I've got a psych degree for a reason. I got my psych degree. I apply it here for reasons in situations like this. I've got you pegged. You need to see it happen. I don't blame you, but you need to see it happen before you can buy in. Unless there's
not true at all.
It is true.
I just picked up Charbonnet in that draft I showed you last night.
That's because some of what I'm saying. That's because some of what I'm saying is getting through to you. But Scott, there's a big part of you that you're literally dismissing the Texans as being a potential surprise, my guy.
Sure, I think Stroud's going to be a huge bust.
Okay, I'm not the biggest on Stroud, but I will say he is very much capable of being what, like I said, Ron described as Kenny Pickett. Not fantasy relevant as much as people think he's going to be, but an efficient, solid passer who's going to make Tank Dell look like an absolute steal of fantasy football 2023. And on top of that, bro, they got Dameon Pierce. They're building something. Caserio knows what he's doing. This organization's like the Detroit Lions a year ago. They're on a track that's going to be ultra impressive. And to base my entire fantasy football defensive game plan around the Texans, I'm telling you right now, Texans aren't going to be the team you just beat up on all the time.
Look at the beginning. That stream defense is I don't draft defense.
Okay, Kyle, you gotta mute yourself, Kyle, because you got a circus going on in the background there or something. So mute real. That's right. Mute real quick, Kyle. Scared Scotty.
I stream defenses. I don't draft defenses. I don't waste the roster spot. I like to, just.
I don't think your
keep
platform,
moving.
the platform doesn't
always
allow
got a
you
good
to hold a defense till later. Scott, I get you. You're scared about the Texans. I appreciate you. We expect you to call in and give us something you're scared about every single day.
It's going to suck.
Okay.
And they are only playing so ahead of the game.
Hey.
It's a great way to start off. You can. Their first game's against the Ravens. You might have to draft them in the second to last round, or against the Ravens in Baltimore. Then the Colts will be out there. They've got the Colts week 2 in Texas. The week after that, they
Scott,
got the Jaguars.
Scott, would you draft Tank Dell?
What's that?
Would you draft Tank Dell?
I'm not drafting a guy that runs a 4.59 or a 4.51 that is 5'8", weighs 150.
Not on my watch. Not on my watch. There's no Tank Dell slander allowed in this live stream. Oh, he's calling right back. Hold on, Scott. Scott, you can. Let's see what Scott's gonna say. Scott got disconnected. He probably just realized I hung up on him because he's calling back. Russian collusion, $20 hauler.
Alert. Super chat alert.
$20 super chat. $20 super chat.
Alert. Super chat alert.
Oh, Scott, you can dial back in briefly. I have to. Tank Dell slander is not allowed. Dynasty Superflex League trade Miles Sanders, DJ Moore, and Jamison Williams for CMC. Woo! What side do you take? I own CMC. I feel like you could get more for CMC if you can win. I'm not trading him for that because there's question marks about Miles Sanders' future. I think CMC, Miles Sanders, like both of them, could be really, really good compared to their ADP this year. Like, I mean, Christian McCaffrey is still, he's going in like 5 or 6 right now in a lot of our drafts that we see every 4 or 5. He could still very much do well, and I'm worried about injury. But for 1 year, I don't give Miles Sanders like some longer, leash than Christian McCaffrey because Miles Sanders has failed too or hasn't produced the way we want him to produce, and he's going into a situation where we don't know what his long-term outlook looks like. DJ Moore has been getting older as he's been waiting for an opportunity, so I do like him this year, but we don't really know what's in store for DJ Moore in like 2 or 3 years from now. And Jamison Williams, so far we haven't seen him play. You know what I mean? Like, and now he's suspended. He played I think 5 or 6 games last year. He had 1 catch. So as much as I'm excited about him, and I'm drafting him late in leagues as my 4th wide receiver, really excited about it, I think you could get more for Christian McCaffrey. But if you can't win, I understand wanting to trade him. But Giancarlo, I don't know that this is the move. I don't think this is the move that I like. Russian collusion. Let's see here. Scott's got a phobia for fantasy football. Test all bugs. What else? Appreciate you, Russian. Scott, you can call back in as long as you don't take me hanging up on you offensively. And you shouldn't, Scott, because you got a role here. You got a role to play on this show, and we appreciate you. Dynasty League, Miles Sanders, DJ Moore. Dynasty Superflex Draft, 1.9, 2.5 for Amari. I got that one. Thank you, Giancarlo, for dropping those. We got Kyle on the line, and then we'll go back to Scared Scott. Kyle, you're first, then Scared Scott is second. Kyle, go ahead.
Okay, so but before you send me on a lap,
oh, no.
I want you to listen to what I got to say.
Oh, no.
I think I'm fading Breece Hall in the 3rd round because there are other players there that I like better, including Josh Allen. I'd rather reach on Burrow in the 3rd than take Breece Hall. I'll take Stevenson, I'll take London, I'll take Watson, and I'll take Najee in the 3rd before I'll take Breece Hall.
I'm not sending you on a lap. There's nothing wrong with that. You're talking about all players I like. You're talking about all avenues that I could explore. I'm not, as long as you're not saying Breece Hall is going to bust, I'm not going to kick you off the line. If you're saying, hey, Smitty, I'm real excited about him. I'm hopeful. I hope it's going to be okay. I'm just going to buy into these other players that I feel like are a little bit more safe year one back from an ACL tear. I'm completely on board with that. No laps will be given. Bro, Stevenson is exciting this year. We might have some Stevenson content coming down the way. So just hang tight on that. But I don't, you're not getting a lap on that. Look, Breece Hall is a special, case of an ACL recovery. That'll probably be an amazing story. It'll be an Adrian Peterson-esque recovery. Not saying he rushes for 2,000 yards, saying that there's no real hiccups and he has a phenomenal return. It's all about readiness. People that say stay away from ACL tears, they don't know what they're talking about, and they're just repeating what they've heard. And they aren't looking at the finite details within each situation. J.K. Dobbins and Barkley were not ready. Breece Hall is ahead of schedule. There's no talk about him not being ready for week one, except for that one beat reporter from The Athletic, I believe, that just said something very opinion-based, like, I just can't see there being no hiccups or whatever he said. I'm paraphrasing. And everybody's like, oh my God, Breece Hall's not going to be ready for week one. Like, that's great, because look at what you're doing. You've probably seen something, right? Just admit it. You've probably seen something that just put a little hesitation in your mind, and then you're like, I'm going to go in a different direction, which is good because it lowers his ADP for anybody that does believe.
Yeah, I think Breece Hall looks good. I've heard that he looks good in camp. I think I just prefer the Wolfpack type of draft style, especially when you can get somebody like Swift late, or if I feel like I want to be more balanced and take a running back in the third, I think I'm taking Stevenson and Najee over him.
You like this Wolfpack approach? I love this Wolfpack approach, bro.
Yeah.
Wilson, Olave, Watson, London. And you know what's great about the Wolfpack approach is that and for people that don't know what the Wolfpack is, hold on, hang tight, callers. Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, Drake London, and Christian Watson. This is the quad squad, the burn unit, the Wolfpack, the four amigos. I give you the four best friends that anybody could have. The Wolfpack is definitely an acquired taste. It's not like everybody can be successful drafting the Wolfpack. It's not like you have to fully complete or commit to all four of them, although it's a fun strategy because the RBs that you can get later, and everybody's got different RBs. Ron's got different RBs than I've got that I would draft in the 6, 7, 5. Him and I are freaking lockstep on Charbonnet, though. Charbonnet, and then, he might have some other running backs to add to Charbonnet. I'm going to definitely go in a different direction than Ron would go in terms of Swift and Kamara and Pacheco. I don't know if you even like Pacheco, Ron, but those guys with Charbonnet could be a phenomenal.
I've drafted.
Okay. So,
and I think because of all of that, I'm not seeing myself draft Breece Hall in the third very often, especially when I'm really targeting Garrett Wilson, and I don't want to go Garrett Wilson and then I have Breece Hall, and I picked up Aaron Rodgers late, and now I look like a Jets team.
Yeah, well, might not be bad, but
I haven't drafted a lot of Breece Hall. I've drafted a few, but not a lot. I haven't drafted Breece Hall a lot.
And I don't think everybody should put all their, he is definitely not a player that, in as much as I love Breece Hall, that I'm putting all my eggs in one basket. And I'll go on a limb here and say I'd rather have Jahmyr Gibbs than Breece Hall. But it doesn't mean I don't love Breece Hall. I'd rather have Jahmyr Gibbs in redraft over Breece Hall, and I think they're damn close in Dynasty. But in Dynasty, I like Breece Hall a lot more than I like Breece Hall in redraft, just because he will be 100%. No running back's going to be 100%, but the crazy part about Breece Hall, for anybody that's doubting that he can be an elite top 5 to 10 running back, is that his situation was so much improved in the offseason that even a limited Breece Hall in some capacities, I'm not saying limited in terms of being used, but limited, maybe his explosion isn't where it will be 1 year from today, which isn't a knock. Him at 90% might still be a top 5, burst type of running back. But the fact that he's going to have open receiving lanes, he's going to be open in the flat. He's playing with a quarterback that made Aaron Jones one of the most productive PPR running backs in fantasy football. And he's got a spread out, offense now where Garrett Wilson's knifing down the field. Aaron Rodgers is airing it out, spreading defenses out. And now Breece Hall's got a more limited than we want to be Breece Hall now has this space he didn't have last year when he was 100%. And so it kind of washes, you know what I mean? So like Breece Hall at a 90% ability as he's increasing every day to get to 100%, and maybe he's not 100% till next year. 90% of Breece Hall in this offense might be as good as 100% of Breece Hall last year. You know, so you got to factor that in. But I do believe that I would take Gibbs if push comes to shove 8 times out of 10, 7 times out of 10 over Breece Hall, but in redraft. But I would want Breece Hall in 1 or 2 or 3 of those leagues over Jahmyr Gibbs because I do want shares of both of them. I'm just feeling Garrett Wilson. I'm feeling Jahmyr Gibbs more than Breece, but that's not a knock on Breece. It's just I love Jahmyr Gibbs.
Well, you know, I didn't expect us to agree. I just wanted to, so I'm kind of surprised that we do, and that's cool.
Well, we don't agree. We don't agree because I'm still drafting him, but I'm just not. Yeah, I'm just not sending you on a lap. Collusion, by the way, I don't know if I did a $20 hauler. Did I do a $20 hauler? Let me make sure I send him to the moon. Collusion
to the moon.
To the moon. I appreciate that $20 hauler.
I think you did.
Okay.
Well, thanks, Smitty. I'm going to pop off, man. I just wanted to chime in and appreciate you.
Yeah, call back if you have another question. Thank you, Kyle. And then Scared Scott, I'm coming right to you. I just want to get these super chats out of the way here. Let's say I take CMC 3 overall in a favorite 10-man. Would offering him to the Breece owner for Hall and Olave be a smash, or would I get laughed at? I mean, I think you might get laughed at in terms of like he doesn't want to do it. I would take Hall and Olave. I'm sorry, what?
I don't play 10-man, so I don't know.
Well, I'm not asking you, Scott. But hold on one second. Scott, you crack me up, man. You crack me up. I don't know if you're naturally funny. You're just naturally a funny guy.
We'll finish this up real fast. Anyway, Texans, 13 games against teams that aren't being picked up right now. Lots of streaming opportunity. And back to the Jets and Garrett Wilson. Remember, 40-year-old quarterback. They have Dwayne Brown at one tackle who's 38 and playing like it. This is what I went and checked. Mekhi Becton has played 800 freaking snaps in 3 years at the other tackle. That offensive line is terrible.
Says Scott, which is that takes Smitty disapprove. You could say what you want. You could say what you want, Scott, about the past, but you look backward. I look forward. You look backward. I look forward. Aaron Rodgers is going to improve offensive line production by merely walking onto the field. I don't think you get that.
Rodgers is not the Rodgers of the throwing
Says
football.
who? Says who? You? Says you. Says you, Scott.
Wilson is an act.
Hello? Scotty?
Adams is like one of the all-time greats. He's not Adams. And Rodgers isn't Rodgers.
Scott.
Garrett.
He's a
40-year-old man who just had his worst season of his career.
Scott, Garrett Wilson is the next Adams. He's reminding Rodgers of Adams every day. He says it all the time. We're telling you he's the next Adams. Okay? And guess who made Adams? Scott? Aaron Rodgers. Scott, Adams wouldn't be near the wide receiver he is today if it wasn't for Aaron Rodgers. You can't take that away from Adams. I'm not saying you can dissect the player and the situation and his experiences, but Adams would not have turned into Devontae Adams, the Adams you know, the Adams that you used to know, because Adams isn't that guy anymore in Las Vegas. I'll tell you that right now. It's not his fault, but he won't be producing Adams numbers in Las Vegas. But Adams was created by Aaron Rodgers. Regardless of how good he could have become, he would have never become the exact player he is today without Aaron Rodgers. He does it every year with the wide receiver. He just did it with Christian Watson and turned Watson into a little monster that's gonna creep up and become a top 10 to 12 wide receiver this year. Christian Watson. Aaron Rodgers is gonna make Garrett Wilson. He's gonna amplify everything we've already seen about Garrett Wilson, who was the offensive rookie of the year, I might tell you. I don't know if you missed that. I don't know if your app gives you push alerts or some sort of email alerts to the Hotmail account, that you have that they're sending you and telling you that Garrett Wilson was Offensive Player of the Year, pal.
Did you
Rookie.
Did you notice what my .com was? My email, where it came from?
No.
AOL.
Is it AOL?
Yes.
God.
Everything makes sense now.
Raise your hand if you have a Hotmail or AOL account. Okay, before I send you on a lap. Everybody raise your hand. This man has an AOL account. He still has an AOL account. He's dialing up right now, which is why his phone's cutting in and out. He's dialing up right now, probably calling from a payphone. Which is why he called back.
You got it.
Please insert 50 more cents. To continue this call, please insert 50 more cents.
God. Okay, hey Scott, hang tight while you hang tight.
I'm gonna jump off here. Y'all be good tonight.
Hey Scott, I
might catch you at midnight.
Scott, I feel bad. Scott, you're not mad, are you?
Oh God, no.
Okay.
I think it's funny.
Okay, Scott, we need you. Let me just tell you, you're providing some good content. People love you. You're kind of becoming that like legend in the chat, even though it's kind of like, hey, we don't agree, but the chat loves you, pal. Like when we hang up, they talk about you for hours.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Take care, Corey. Later.
The dial-up. The guy's an AOL account. Breaking news: Dalvin Cook reported to want to play with D. Hopkins. What team will pick up both of them? Probably no team. I don't think any team's going to do that, but that would be interesting. Wouldn't that be amazing if they both ended up somewhere crazy like... first of all, where would Hopkins go? Right now, Buffalo is kind of out, but Buffalo would be crazy if they got both. If Buffalo got both, and they're affordable enough. Like, if Buffalo is smart, they go get Dalvin Cook and Hopkins, and they go win a Super Bowl. But there's really no place. Tennessee's not bringing in both. They got Derrick Henry. New England Patriots are very likely Hopkins' location. They're not bringing in Dalvin Cook. So highly, highly, highly unlikely to happen, but it's, it's interesting. What's wrong with 10-man? I don't know what that means, overcome, but there's nothing wrong with a 10-man league, if that's what you mean. But, majority of sharks don't play in 10-man. So when people say, I'm in a real tough league with 10 people, I'm calling cap, because most 12-man leagues are where you're going to find a lot of sharks. A lot of people won't play in 10-man that are like hardcore into fantasy football because it messes with your mind. Kind of like Ron Navy won't play in a $3 Garrett Wilson draft, but he'll play in a $5 because it messes with the deposit amounts and the finances. Like when you're a true baller in something and you're embedded to the core and you're a heavy hitter, like Ron is a absolute whale on Underdog Fantasy. You got to have these things like in line, and a person that's playing in a shark, a heavy duty shark player is going to say to themselves, I'm used to ADP off 12-man leagues. I'm used to entry fees that are times 12. I can't go play in a 10-man league, so that's kind of why that usually is the case. You rarely find a lot of 10-man people. Overcome says, let's say I take CMC 3 overall in my favorite 10-man. Would you be offering Brees? Oh, so I guess I answered this already. I would take Olave and Hall over. I'm sorry if I didn't answer this yet. I would take Olave and Hall over CMC in redraft in 1,000% in Dynasty. But if it's a redraft league, I still take Hall and Olave. Easy call for me. Absolutely like cakewalk decision. And then we got a $20 hauler from Torres. Giancarlo dropping another. Goodness gracious.
Alert. Super chat alert.
$20 super chat. $20 super chat.
Appreciate that, bro. Giancarlo says, for sure, this, I think, can win. Won last year and have CMC, Saquon, and JT, and Walker. But wide receiver are DK, Christian Watson with Odell, John Mechie, KJ Osborne, Allen Robinson. I feel I need to boost at wide receiver. Reason for Amari. What do you think, Ron? That's a great team. He's got JT, Walker, Saquon, CMC. and it's Dynasty, and he's got Watson and DK still. He's got two really good receivers. He's got a really good running stable. Like that 1.9, and it's a super flex, which I'm looking at. Okay, who's his quarterbacks? Who are your quarterbacks in this league? That 1.9 in a super flex probably will be a good shot at Kincaid because it's super flex. I don't think you're going to get any of the quarterbacks you want at 1.9, so that's not going to be the reason I keep the pick, but maybe somebody falls that shouldn't fall. And maybe, actually, because of Superflex, maybe you get like a wide receiver you like Flowers or Quentin Johnson, and you want to take that gamble. But would you take Amari?
You can get a Brendan Hooker.
A what?
He could get a Brendan. He could get a Brendan Hooker.
Hendon Hooker.
That's what I said, Hendon Hooker.
Brendan. I love Ron. Ron, you ever search? Ron, do you ever search the wrong name when you're trying to draft somebody?
Yeah, I've done that a lot.
He's looking for Brendan Hooker. I know he's not taking Brendan. Maybe it's Brandon, not Brendan. Yeah, Hendon Hooker definitely got upside, I suppose, in a super flex at the 1.9. I think if I'm in your situation, Amari Cooper and Waller's. I mean, Waller's older. I'd probably rather have Kincaid. If you know you're getting Kincaid, I'd probably take Kincaid. And you're in a 10-man league, which means the waiver wire pool is a little deeper than normal. So like you could find stuff. Plus, I'd probably be working a Christian McCaffrey trade because you got Saquon, you got JT, you got Walker. Plus 1.9, you might need Charbonnet. And he could fall. So I'm not trading 1.9 now. Not in a super flex. I bet you Charbonnet, 80% chance he falls to 1.9, right, Ron? Or greater in a super flex 1.9 drop slot? Charbonnet.
Yeah.
Fall. Yeah. You need Charbonnet. Don't do it. You need Charbonnet. Yeah, go get Charbonnet with that pick and then trade CMC for like I don't know. CMC, who could he get it? Could you get a Lave? Would you trade a CMC for a Lave in something small in Dynasty? I think I would. I'll go that route, bro. Although, I mean, if you can win the money now and hold CMC for a year, but I'd probably try and upgrade or trade CMC across position into a wide receiver. Anyone need a spot in a 10-man league, says Blake. I sometimes competitive leagues are 10-man. I'm not ripping on 10-man. I'm just saying when people say I'm in a very competitive 10-man league, I can't remember a 10-man league where it didn't have like a couple grandmas in it. You know what I mean? For sure. A couple. There might be still some sharks in there that just can't find another, league and they played in it for years. But 10-man leagues I dominate. Like Miss Smitty's work league is the kind of league that would be a 10-man league, which I got screwed on because of the Bengals not playing that final week. Ron Navy and me both got screwed. I was dominating Miss Smitty's league all year long. People were like, this isn't even fair. You got your YouTube channel. Here I am just dominating her work league. And then right at the end, Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase. Got screwed. I got royally screwed. Who's on the phone right now? Steven? Oh, Steven hung up. Steven, call back in.
Hey, Smitty?
Yeah.
I'm going to get off the phone.
Okay. Hey, Ron, I'll message you after, but prayer emojis for Miss Navy, guys. Ron, so sorry to hear about that, but, we're going to have positive thoughts, and I think it's going to be one of those things that they either hit really quick or it's not even, you know what I mean? I think you're going to be fine.
Yeah, we're at the beginning stages. We got to get the CAT scan
That's
done
it.
first.
Hey,
so
sometimes those are meant to be those scans for something that finds something else. Those are the stories where you're like, that was a good, like, meant to be situation where, they're going in for something else and they find something, that's great that they caught that, But keep us posted, please.
Will do.
All right.
I'll talk to everybody later.
All right, later, Ron.
All right, bye.
All right, prayers for Miss Navy, guys. Appreciate you all. Gene Carlo, thank you for dropping that. Welcome to the Scared Scotty Show, says Russian Collusion. Overcome Scott's donation. Thank you, Overcome, for dropping Scott's donation. What's wrong with the 10-man league? Breaking news, Dalvin Cook reportedly wants to play with D-Hop. I got to that. Thank you very much for that. Thank you for that CMC question, Russian Collusion. Scott's probably phobia got a phobia for fantasy football test scores because he said Stroud, scored low, which, I've used that excuse too when I'm organizing the rookie quarterbacks and saying, there is something to, him not scoring high in that test, but not to the degree that it's like affecting like too much. It's just kind of like a balancing act of categories and who's better here. Bryce Young is an elite processing, savant on the field versus Stroud, who scored very low. But I disagree with everything Scott said about the Texans being this vulnerable team that's just going to get beat up on constantly. Casario's doing a great job over there in Houston, and DeMeco Ryan, they love this guy. They're turning things around. This is the Detroit Lions 1 year ago, walking into last offseason. Not a playoff team, but a team showing signs of life and what's to come. And so, funny to me that people just write the Texans off, who've got an amazing running back in Dameon Pierce. They got a situation that I think is going to get better and better. So appreciate you all dropping these super chats. The phone line is currently open for a little bit longer. We've been live for 2 hours. I'll take a few more phone calls if you dare. 189 of you in the building. We got 162 thumbs up, which is phenomenal. So punch that thumb up button if you're new. Subscribe if you're new. I'm going to go to the voicemails on the Instagram Live. If you guys want to be voicemail droppers, all you got to do is get on over to my profile on Instagram, The Fantasy Football Show. Go to The Fantasy Football Show on Instagram. Click that subscribe button for $4.99. You can be a voicemail leaving monster and drop voicemails every single show if you want. So let me get on over to that crew and leave answer some voice messages from my voicemail crew. Here they are right here. This one's from Patrick.
Happy Father's Day, Jay.
Happy Father's Day, Patrick. Appreciate you asking that question. This is from Mason.
Hey, Smitty, a couple questions here. First one was wondering how likely you think it is that Elijah Moore takes over as the number one wide receiver in Cleveland this year over Amari Cooper. I was also wondering, as far as the J.K. Dobbins hold-in type situation that's going on, how is that affecting where you're drafting him, and are you still buying into him for this year?
As for J.K. Dobbins, I'm not liking his fifth-round value right now. I'd much rather have a player like London who falls to 5. Justin Fields, instead of forcing myself to take an RB, when I could just take a Pacheco a round or two later, or a Madison in round 5, like 6, top of round 6, sometimes late 5. I could go Kamara in round 8, 9. I could go Charbonnet and a Pacheco later and have some kind of like rotational running back, 2, 3, whatever I'm going for with that J.K. Dobbins spot. I'm not saying I don't like J.K. Dobbins. I'm more excited about J.K. Dobbins than any time I can remember since he was a rookie. So I am amped about it, but this little holdout situation isn't a good one. And they're trying to install a new offense under Munkin, and he needs to get in there and learn it, because they're going to be involving the running backs more than they ever have, which is great for J.K. Dobbins. Let's see how long he holds out, because the longer the holdout, the more likely the injury risk. And for a guy like J.K., who's got the balls to hold out when he has no reason or warranted reason to hold out, no ability or track record to stay healthy to hold out, like, what's he doing? He's just hurting himself in solidifying the number one running back spot in this new offense. Dude, that Elijah Moore question is fire, says Overcome. Elijah Moore has the potential to, thank you Overcome for the super chat, has the potential to become, it really does have the potential to become the number one wide receiver in Cleveland if like injury strikes Amari Cooper. Amari Cooper doesn't have a 100% like track record of being error-free, or he definitely has stayed on the field. He produced very, very well last year, but he has disappointed in spots in his career, dating back to the Raiders. And there's just been times where you believe in him and then he kind of fails you a little bit, then he bounces back. You believe in him. It just wouldn't shock me. I'm not saying that I predict it. I'm not saying I'm going out on a limb and saying, yeah, Elijah Moore is the number one by the end of the year. I'm not really dropping a bold prediction here. I'm just saying Elijah Moore has the talent to grab the number one wide receiver spot if the door gets open to it. If Amari Cooper's healthy, I think at best they just eat into each other's workload and they kind of both score about the same, which is good for Elijah Moore given the cost of entry. But, injury strikes or Amari Cooper goes through something weird. Like, Moore has the ability to be the number one wide receiver. Let's not forget that before Garrett Wilson landed in New York, Moore was the future wide receiver one, and we all really liked him. And then he's kind of fell out of favor in the pecking order there with the coaching staff. Then his attitude got bad, and then even when things were improving, he didn't really have his role carved out because of whatever situation he kind of help evolve there with his I don't know. You could say I don't think the behavior that he was. I don't think what he was doing was necessarily causing the problem, but there was a lot of conflict there, even when things were shaping up offensively, and so it's hard for him to get back in the good graces of the coaching staff and in the pecking order, and he's just kind of a forgotten man. But yeah, the opportunity is certainly there, Overcome. But I don't know that I would. Or I'm sorry, that was who asked this question? It was Mason. And just so Mason knows. Hey Mason, just so you know, I started answering this question live in more detail at about 2 hours and 2 minutes into the show. So go watch that back, Mason. Appreciate your question. Anybody else wants to leave a voicemail on the regular? Just get on over to my Instagram, The Fantasy Football Show. And for $4.99, you can be a daily voicemail leaver, and I play these during a certain segment. And once we get back into the groove of it, you're going to hear this during a certain segment every single day on the regular. So, Mason, appreciate you. Scared Scott is back on the phone again. What are you scared?
Sorry, I did have a question.
What are you scared about now?
What's you get to your fifth running back, and you got Robinson. How important do you think it is to grab Algier?
I don't think it's a necessity. It just depends on, am I giving up on a Charbonnet to grab Algier? No way. Am I giving up on grabbing a Kamara, which feels like free value, and all the risk of suspension or jail time or everything's baked in around 7, 8 ADP?
I had both of those guys in this draft, so I'm sitting here around 11.
Yeah,
it's coming up.
Well, who else is there?
Moore.
Who else is there? Sky Moore. Who else is there?
I got 7 picks till then, so it's hard to say. But I could go. I probably need a receiver here. It kind of. I don't know. Looking at the draft, who's going to drop to me? But
Scott, just spit it out, Scott. Who are the top 5 running backs? Who are the top wide receivers? Hit me with it, quick.
Sorry, hold on. Let's see here. A-Chain, Algier, Foreman, Miller, Rashawn Johnson, Tank Bigsby.
All right. I love Algier in that situation to back up, but who are the wide receivers available? Is Kincaid there? Do these people even know Kincaid's about to break loose in 2023?
Yeah, Kincaid's still available. And I need a second tight end.
I like that, but I like Algier a lot, but you sound pretty good at
Flowers, Thomas, Sky Moore, those would be.
Flowers is pretty good.
They're in the top 6 and the only 3
I would go Kincaid if it was me, but Flowers is a fantastic wide receiver there, very, very good value, and Algier's a very safe handcuff. But, you could accomplish kind of similar upside with another RB later. Like, is McKinnon? I'm sure McKinnon's there. Those guys don't know McKinnon exists over there on that platform.
It's just with having Robinson and a rookie, sometimes, injuries happen. And Algier was so good last year that it would be, I lose Robinson because I win Robinson first round, and then the next 5 were 4 wide receivers and a quarterback. So if I lose Robinson at some point this season, I could be in trouble.
Well, grab him and try and get Kincaid next pick. So secure yourself so you aren't scared at night about this situation and it's keeping you up, and cuff them, and then go Kincaid next pick. All right,
bro.
all right,
care.
Scotty, later. Scared Scotty, everybody. We need an intro song for Scared Scotty. But Sick Nasty says, Miss Navy to the moon, prayers up. Guys, drop a prayer emoji for Ron Navy, Miss Navy.
To the moon.
Prayers up, please. Appreciate that. I think I've got all the super chats caught up. Phone line's open.
Call into the show. Call into the show.
Dial in. I'll be live here for a few more minutes answering some phone calls. So dial into the show if you guys want to ask a question. Your boy is here to help you. There's the phone number. Do it live. Do it live. Do it live. Do it now. I like Zay Flowers as well, Swaggy. It's a really good value there. Scott, take one of the rookies. I can't believe Scott even took a gamble on Bijan, to be honest with you. Matto in the building. Matto! I love the new setup. I go back and forth on this chair, but as long as I think I move around in it, it won't give me... I cut off the blood supply in my legs, and I couldn't sleep for like 2 or 3 days because I felt like my legs were racing. You know when you got restless legs and you shake your legs, you're like, why do my legs feel like this? I cut them off my supply. I couldn't sleep for 2 or 3 days because I sat in the chair for too long. And even what I did right now, sitting here for 2 hours... because it's like a gaming chair, and it's got this like metal bar. It's padded, but right, you know, at where the mid thigh area, like right where your knees are, and so it like cuts the blood supply off when you sit in it for like, 5 hours, 2 hours straight, whatever. You start feeling like tingling in your toes, and so I just gotta move around more. But this chair is much more functional, and I love the setup. I got the second system over here completely independent from the live stream on this side, so I can look stuff up and run an additional stream, go Dynasty or whatever. Matt Biaggia on the line here. Matt Biaggia, you are live. Hello?
What's up, Smitty?
What's up, Matt?
First and foremost, wishing all prayers for Mrs. Navy.
Yep.
And then I'm still kicking around. I mean, my redraft is a while, and we just switched to a 3 wide receiver plus a flex format, full PPR. And I know we've talked a little bit about my team, but I still have Josh Allen. I still have Mark Andrews. And then my receivers are Jamar Chase, Amari Cooper, and T. Higgins. And I'm really still thinking about riding them out, those 5, and maybe looking running back in that, that first pick, because it's a keeper league. So for the 6th round pick, I'm looking maybe running back, but I still will take a wide receiver.
I just need to know the names. Best player available, all things equal. Well,
right. Well, I mean, we're talking redraft, and we draft our league after the 3rd preseason game. So it's like, by then, everybody knows what's going on.
Yeah. Well, not always. I mean, sometimes, sometimes people are slumping and but there's always steals to be had. There's going to be overvalued players. There's going to be undervalued players every point during the offseason. There's going to be weeks 1, 2, 3, 4, sometimes into week 7, week 6, but usually it's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then kind of week 5. There are always a handful of players that don't live up to expectation initially,
right?
And people panic. That's why we have the panic chamber. And I think the panic chamber has got a misconception when people say, hey Smitty, why you got Cooper Kupp in the panic chamber? Just because I've got people in the panic chamber doesn't mean we don't buy them at certain territory. Just because we have a panic chamber episode about St. Brown, let's say, who starts off very, very poorly in week 1, we'll put St. Brown immediately in the panic chamber. But a lot of our panic chamber episodes are a point of emphasis to go get said panic player, as the fantasy football world is like, close the door on him, close the door on him. So panic chamber is going to be a great part of the season. I'm doing a waiver wire show this week. I'm going to try and do a waiver wire show at least once a week until kickoff of week 1. Because guess what? A lot of you still play in Dynasty leagues. Guess what? A lot of you still play in redraft leagues. And guess what? Sometimes talking about a guy to pick up is me telling you, hey, before you draft, maybe this guy should be a guy you pick up at the very end of your draft. Because if I'm telling you to pick him up now, that means why aren't you drafting him? So I think week one, pre-week one waiver wire show needs to happen at least bi-weekly going into the season. So get ready for that. Terry Roberts says getting a top D or streaming. We talked about it earlier on the show. Terry, go get the Jets or the Steelers. Their Jets are ranked number 5, and you can get them at the top of the second to last round, I think, a lot of the time. And I think it's worth this year grabbing them or the Steelers. Steelers are ranked number 10, and I think they could easily be top 5. Streaming's not bad, but you need to know what you're doing. You can't just tell someone to stream a defense. And if you don't have time, I don't have time to stream a defense. I'm live all the time. Like I can't be working the waiver wire on a defense in 15 leagues. I just can't. Maybe one league I do that and I have time for it, but I don't have the ability to do that across the amount of leagues I do. And so I do tend to go after, because I know myself and my limitations. I know I don't have time for that. Am I the best owner I can be? Probably never will be in any league I do, because I dedicate my time to you guys. And so if I'm sitting here and Keenan Allen's banged up and I've got 12 leagues, guess what? He's probably starting in one of my leagues. I am not the most optimized owner I can be, but I understand that. I accept that. And in some senses, I wonder, and I can never do it. I can never do it because I do all the best ball drafts. But I wonder what happens if I 1 year don't play a single bit of fantasy football and just try and unbiasedly look at everything. I'll never do it. I can never do it. Number one, I got a best ball draft all the time. But I just wonder what that would do to my bias. Any bias I have, could it take it out? Could I look at it objectively differently? I don't know. I'll never do it, though, nor do I want to. I enjoy fantasy so much.
You wouldn't be able to with the Cardinals, being a Cardinal fan. You can't objectively look at them.
Yeah, I can.
No, you can't.
Yes, I can.
No, I don't think you can. I think you're way too down on some of the Rondell Moore. 15th round.
I objectively look at everything. I think to the best of anybody's knowledge, I do not overemphasize Cardinal players.
You don't think you're even a little bit bitter on the Cardinals?
Not at all. I'm hopeful, but what do they have, bro? What do they have? They have no quarterback right now. How can I be?
Kyler's going to come back week 9.
No,
take you to the promised
you
land.
don't know that. You don't know that Kyler's coming back. Number one, I know you're kind of joking, but you're the one that said the outlandish thing about the Cardinals. I haven't. Kyler Murray, there's a really good chance they're vying for that number 1 overall Caleb Williams draft selection. Kyler, if anything, to go after a Cardinal player, you're setting yourself up for a disaster.
There's no way they're giving up on Kyler.
What do you mean there's no way? That's more biased than being...
He's got to play. If he's healthy, he has to play.
No, he's not playing. They're not playing him if it's week 10 and they've got 2 wins. Why on earth would they put him in the lineup?
I don't know. How much are they paying him?
Doesn't matter. It's not about winning 5
wins.
No, it doesn't, Matt. Why would you not take a dive if you're the Cardinals? You have 2 wins. It's week 10. Why would you not want the number 1, number 2, number 3 overall pick? At the very least, wouldn't you want Marvin Harrison Jr. if you were going to keep Kyler? And I'm not saying that they won't contemplate keeping Kyler, Matt. I'm not saying it's a guaranteed lock. But I'm objectively looking at this situation, I think, clearly more than you are, because they're going to have all these options on the table. And Kyler is not a guy the organization is sold on as you think when they're put in a position to get Caleb Williams. And if they could still trade Kyler away, and they fully could, and they've got a potential to get Caleb, something they didn't know that they would have on the table earlier, it's a whole different thing. It's a whole different landscape. But they're not going to rush Kyler out. They may play him in week 17 to showcase he's healthy or something. But Kyler Murray is not a lock to stay on this roster. I'll tell you that right now.
So if they don't play him, is he gone? Or do you think he still has a chance to come back the following year?
It depends on if they can get Caleb Williams. If they can get Caleb Williams, he's gone, in my opinion.
So, okay. All right.
That's just my opinion. Is there a chance that it goes the other way? Sure. I don't know exactly. No one, Matt, can tell you exactly what a team's going to do a year from now. It's a prediction. But if Caleb Williams is available, he is different, bro. He is different.
Sure.
Like that Kyler's not as good as Caleb. You know, Caleb is going to be.
But somebody would think Kyler still is.
That's why they could
probably
easily trade him. Yeah. But this, you know, it doesn't even matter if Gannon loves him, because Gannon said the one reason he took the job was Kyler. It doesn't matter. The Cardinals brass wants to get rid of him.
That's all bull crap talk.
Yeah. But anyway, but no one knows for sure, bro.
Gotcha.
All right, what else you got, Biaggia?
That's probably it.
Can you say Mr. Robinson's first name for me? Can you give me the full name?
I mean, I don't even want to go into this because I've heard other content people talking about how to pronounce the name, and they said if you don't say it the way they do, then you're dumb.
Okay, so tell me real quickly what you think his name is.
It's Bijan. I know it's Bijan Robinson. I wear my name with honor for this show because I was dumb enough and didn't know it when I don't want to
promote these other nonsense, you know, driven content creators, so I'm not telling you to drop their names. But anybody that says that it's something different than Bijan is an idiot.
He said you were dumb. He didn't say you specifically. He just said anybody that says he's dumb.
Do you know why you know why anybody that says it's not Bijan is a moron? Because Bijan himself has said that it's Bijan.
I hear you. So I hear what you're saying.
What more do you want? What more do you want? And anybody that says Kamara is Kamara or that Kamara is also an idiot. You know why? Because Alvin Kamara he says it both ways. His mom says Kamara, or Kamara, and he says Kamara. His mom says Kamara. So like that whole debate is ridiculous and just there's no point to it. It's whatever you want because Kamara told you it's whatever you want. It is Kamara because he says it's Kamara. If he tells me it's Kamara, I'm going with Kamara. But Bijan has said, "Hi, I'm Bijan Robinson. Thank you for watching you watch all the charity things he's been doing lately." He says, "What's going on? I'm Bijan Robinson." He doesn't say Bijan Robinson.
Hey,
look,
Smitty, you taught me Bijan's name.
And you know what I'm doing?
I mean, I wear my name for this show with honor.
Yes.
Because I was dumb enough and called in, didn't know.
And whatever person you're listening to, it says Biaggia or Bijan. I'm taking their Bijan card away.
Your Bijan card has been revoked.
Ridiculous people out there. Giancarlo says, do you trade CMC for Garrett Wilson in a dynasty? Absolutely take Garrett Wilson over CMC in a heartbeat. Millisecond, bro. Christian McCaffrey's
they are blowing fireworks off in the neighborhood. Happy 4th.
All right, Biaggia, appreciate you. Later, pal.
Yep, bye.
Let's go over to Okafor. You're live, and then Frank next.
Oh, are you like wrapping up?
Kinda. Yeah, I've been live for about 2.5 hours, so.
I'm not trying to go to speak, man. I was gonna come and complain about Drake London, you know. Then I thought about it, you know, and looked at the players that he was going around, and I said, you know what? Maybe Drake London's not such a bad Drake London.
You saved yourself.
Then I turned my.
You saved yourself a lap. If your intention was to call in and rip on Drake London, a moon man, and you decided you made a smart decision to change directions.
Hey, I'm not exactly. I don't know if I call myself a hater. I mean, I have Drake London in my league of record, my dynasty league. You know, so I like the guy. It's the whole situation around him that gives me the creeps, as you've probably heard, as everyone's probably heard.
Who gives you the creeps? Who?
The situation around London. You know, that's what's just irking me a little bit. You know,
what situation around
having him as like pass attempts? You know, Arthur Smith. It's really, to me, it's having faith in Arthur Smith that he's not going to be as run heavy as he was last year. At least like the run to pass ratio, and it's the hope that Ritter will.
So
he doesn't have to be.
So you're not liking the 1,340 or 1,350 yard pace that London was on when in the final 6 weeks of the season. I mean, I understand the touchdowns weren't there, but he was on pace for an amazing amount of yardage. He was on pace for what was 1350 with Ritter in there. And then you could say, well, but Pitts is coming back, and now they're going to run the ball. But you could also say that Ritter didn't have any preparation to be a starting quarterback in the National Football League or for the Atlanta Falcons and was thrown into a situation where he was ill-prepared. And you could also say that he's got a pretty darn good college, resume to look at, and that there's opportunity for him to play better football and distribute more yards all around the field with the year of preparation and with added weapons of Bijan and also Kyle Pitts. So every argument against Ritter and the Falcons being able to provide enough workload for London can be counter-argued with the fact that he will improve. He will have more training. He will be more embedded in the offense, and that this offense that beat the 49ers last year and was in dogfights almost every single loss, it was within 7 points. I think AA came on here and broke it down. It was here's a 3-point loss, here's a 7-point loss. The Falcons balled out last year without having a quarterback. And Ritter came in and looked efficient. Algier ran for 1,000 yards and looked really, really good without Pitts out there. And so the whole thing, the Falcons are going to surprise everybody. I'm not saying they're necessarily a playoff team, but the Lions impressed everybody and they weren't a playoff team last year. Falcons are going to be, I think, ultra impressive. And I think if you're going to doubt anybody to get the production that they need, it'd probably be Kyle Pitts in the pecking order. Bijan could lead the entire National Football League in touchdowns and yardage and attempts, and be the number one runner in fantasy football. Do not hold Atlanta against him. They're the number one running team in the National Football League if you take Jalen Hurts' running out of the equation for the Philadelphia Eagles rushing attack. Number one. And Algier exploded. So how could Bijan not explode? Number two, you give Kyle Pitts to Ritter, you give him London again, and you give him Bijan. Name a trio that's better than that in the National Football League, aside from maybe Kittle, Debo, and Christian McCaffrey, which is comparable if you want to get, down to it in terms of their quarterback situation's a mess. Who knows if they all get fed? This is arguably the best tripod, tight end, wide receiver, running back in the National Football League. Drake London, to me, has top 5 potential wide receiver upside, even though you don't draft him there. Kyle Pitts has top 1 to 5 tight end upside, and Bijan's got top 1 overall running back upside, even as a rookie. That's great for Ritter. I think Ritter will be just fine.
Yeah, I have shares of Ritter because, the weapons that are around him. And I've watched a number of Ritter interviews. I like the guy. I sense a little something from him. He seems a little bit more mature than most for his age, even though he looks.
Yeah, don't. If you're gonna worry about Kyle Pitts, who's still rehabbing the knee, and there's risk there, and they didn't use him last year properly, even when he was on the field. So there's more risk about Kyle Pitts than there is any of the other options. Don't worry about London. Don't worry about Bijan. If you got to lay some risk on someone, lay it on Kyle Pitts' doorstep.
Yeah, I do like London a lot. And another thing is the kind of player he is. He's not someone that's gonna, catch the ball and take it to the house. He's gonna need a number of targets to get the job done. If they're in the end zone, I think if they're in the red zone, he can score touchdowns. I
think we need to let London have the ability to become whatever he could become versus what we, I get what you're saying. Maybe London's not the burner you're talking about, but could London score long touchdowns? Absolutely think he could. I think London's developing.
Jump balls, maybe. Or you break a couple of tackles.
Let London develop, man. I'm telling you, he had a really, really good season. And he is a phenomenal grab on Underdog Fantasy. Guys, this is unreal. This is unreal. Let me see if I can locate it here. This is unreal. if you go to Underdog Fantasy promo code Smitty, and they'll match up to $100 in your first deposit. Just enter promo code Smitty, or use the link in the description, or use the link that I'm about to drop in the live stream, and play this. The higher lows on the Pick'em are some of the, I think, easiest ways to clean up in 2023. So if you let me see if I can let me put Underdog on the screen here. If you look at my where is it? Let me see if I can put it on the screen. Let me go over to this screen. Hold on. Okay, here it is. If you go to Underdog Fantasy, link in the description. It's not gonna. I gotta restart my computer. It won't let me share it. Let me see if I can screenshot it over. There's Drake London's over/under. I think is 850 yards. Trevor Lawrence's 26.5 passing touchdowns. That's phenomenal. Ritter, I wouldn't go near the Ritter line. Hurts has some good. Fields has some good potential higher lows. But let me find the Drake London. This is the disrespect that Drake London is getting, and it's absolutely crazy. Drake London has so much upside, and I'm all in on all these higher lows on these dotted players. Like, let's see here. Where is it? Let me try and find it. Drake London. This is unreal. Evan Ingram, 625. That's great. 625 yards for Evan Ingram. Hit that over all day long. Marsman Rockout's calling in. Let me screenshot this 850 yard Drake London pick'em. This is money on Underdog Fantasy promo code Smitty. Let me send this to my computer here and drag it on screen. This is absolute money. There are very few higher lows that are easier than this one right now. Take Underdog's money right now using code Smitty. Look at this. 850.5 yards for Drake London. He was on pace for 13.
Smash it.
That's like taking candy from a baby, bro. That's the easiest.
About what you were saying about the London pace. When Ritter came in, were the Falcons in the running to win the division?
It doesn't really matter though, because you can't identify what their offense is going to look like. It's going to be improved. Are they throwing in the third and fourth quarter because they're down? Are they trying like there's so many different moving parts that I don't think you want to go that route with the Falcons and say they now have Bijan. They're going to run more than they ever did. They're going to throw to him as well though. And that's going to open up things. It's also going to be really hard for defenses to key on London and double team him when they've got to worry about Bijan. They got to worry about Kyle Pitts across the middle. They got to worry about a lot of things. Cordell Patterson might be used as a wide receiver early and often. We don't even know. There's a lot of weapons on this team. So Drake London's going to have different opportunities with Kyle Pitts. So I don't know that I would tie into like what the record was or how they were doing in the third and fourth quarter. They were in a lot of close games regardless. And to be throwing that well to Drake London in close games and close fought games is very promising all on its own. But the story of this segment is this 850.5 receiving line. Oh, don't click the lower. The lower selected on that. Good Lord.
Don't do it.
Don't do it. Why do I have that on there? Get that off the screen. It's not lower. It's higher. Hold on. What am I doing? How did I bump that? How did I do that? What's wrong with me?
The truth.
Don't do it.
The truth eventually reveals itself.
Yeah. You keep
not
telling
low. It's higher.
You keep telling yourself that. Here it is. Higher. You could have assumed that. Yeah, here it is. Higher. And dude, the receiving one too. 4.5 receiving TDs. He's gonna get that. He's gonna. But the yard is just cakewalk.
Wait, for London?
Yeah, 3 or 4 last year.
Wait. What do you mean? Wait, hold on. Why did your voice get so high for London? Like, what do you mean? What do you mean? You think you think London can't get 5 TDs so much so that your voice cracked, like you're going through puberty again? That's how much you're against 5 touchdowns for London?
No, Smitty, you got it wrong, Smitty. To me, that seems kind of easy. That seems kind of low.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So that was a good voice crack. It was like 4.5
Yeah.
for London. 4.5. You're out of your mind.
Trying to do some Jim Carrey or something.
Hey, let's go to Frank real quick. Frank, you're live.
Hey, what's up, Smitty? Yeah, I'm on here, Smitty. Hey, I want to talk about the prior call, the one that they talked about Caleb Williams. And, Arizona, man, if you get Caleb Williams with Marvin Harrison, you're going to set your franchise for the next 10 to 12 years to just dominate. I mean, then you just add some running backs, in the third, fourth round next year's class. You're going to Arizona could change their franchise like that and overnight within a year, just tanking it. You just need, why put Kyler Murray out there? Kyler Murray's already done. We can't even pass within the pocket. His balls always get batted down at the line. He's just too short. And they overpaid him, and I think they come to realize that. You know what? They made a mistake. Kyler, he kind of was holding out what he was doing to his antics, but at the end of the day, Caleb Williams, I'll tell you this: he played for Oklahoma Sooners, and I'm a Texas Longhorn fan. What he did when he came as a true freshman, came in the second half, and Bijan was there, and I'm a big Bijan Robinson guy. Being a UT fan, and what he did over there. Come in that second half against Oklahoma and Texas, the Red River rivalry, as a true freshman and led them back to win the game. It's incredible with Caleb. Caleb Williams, that guy's he's another Joe Burrow. That guy is just like he's that good. And so is Marvin Harrison. Harrison is another. He's going to be another Justin Jefferson or Jamar or Chase.
Objectively, I'll say that in the same breath, like the Cardinals would be crazy to not take Caleb if let's say they get the number 1 overall pick. They'd be crazy to put Kyler out there and not continue to lose and take a dive to get that pick. They'd be crazy, but at the same time, those are all logical statements by me, and that doesn't mean the organization will do that. So to the other caller's point, the Cardinals may run Kyler out there. I could see Gannon go, we're going to try to win football games. We're going to put him out there. It's certainly possible, but all I was telling him was like to act like Kyler's going back in no matter what is a ridiculous stance because you don't know that. We don't know. There's so many variables at play. What's the record? Are they trying to trade Kyler? Do they just want to showcase him at the very end of the year to prove he's healthy? It's a lot easier to trade Kyler, who played week 16 and 17, or week 17 only or whatever, than to trade Kyler, who never played a down that year to prove he's back. So they might want to showcase him. That could definitely happen. But if they've got 2 wins and it's week 10, logic tells you they're taking a dive because Marvin Harrison Jr. is worth it. Caleb is definitely worth it. And if they are presented with an opportunity to get Caleb Williams, they would be dumb to not take it and trade Kyler. But they've also proven to be stupid in a lot of other ways, this organization, which is why Hopkins wanted out. He said he wanted to play for a team that had a better, decision making, upstairs. 1 second, guys, hang tight for me real quick. Area code 415, you're live. Who's this?
Rack Poker from earlier. I dropped the super chat earlier.
Rack, my boy Rack dropping supers. What was it, Rack? What was it again?
Rack's Poker.
Rack Poker, right?
Yep.
What's up, Poker? What can I do for you?
I kind of wanted to ask you about the keeper, possibly two. You said you'd pick Christian Watson over Amon St. Brown. I kind of having a hard time wrapping my head around picking Watson over Amon St. Brown.
When did I say that? When did I say that? When did I say that?
I don't know, maybe like an hour and a half ago. It was round 12. Round 15.
Okay. Hold. For context. Yeah, for context, there's keeper values involved. Okay. Because I've never once said I'd take Watson over St. Brown, but you're talking about with the valued round attached. Okay, let me find that super chat because everybody listening is probably like, what did he just say that Smitty said? Let me see here. Okay, so here's Rack's Poker's question because the context is very important here. He has one keeper, and Kelsey's a second-round keeper. St. Brown's a 6th-round keeper, and Christian Watson's a 16-round keeper. So yes, in this context, I would lean Christian Watson as a 16-round keeper over St. Brown as a 6th-round keeper because I believe there's still going to be some really good players in the 6th round, and I'd rather have Christian Watson, who's a 3rd-round player. Really, he is. He's a 3rd-round player over St. Brown, a 2nd-round player, in addition to what I'm going to have. Like, for example, if Trevor Lawrence or Fields is going to be available, it happens all the time, in round 6, give me Trevor Lawrence and Christian Watson over just St. Brown. You know what I'm saying? That's why I'm answering.
I'm just not a big Jordan Love guy. I'd rather have Goff throwing to my wide receiver.
I love Jordan Love. Jordan Love, yes. Jordan Love is getting some amazing reviews and hype by a lot of his teammates. A lot of amazing things have been said about him so far, and I truly think, and we've seen the rapport between the two very briefly. But guess what? Love comes in, throws a touchdown pass to Christian Watson. There's no better small sample size to look at least we got the vision of that, and we've seen it happen. And Jordan Love, there's a reason they wanted to move on from Aaron Rodgers, is because they've seen enough and they like him. And again, like I said at the top of the show, I don't know if you missed it, I think the Green Bay Packers, although they're hard-pressed to repeat what they've done 2 quarterbacks in a row, I think they get the benefit of the doubt of saying, hey, if we believe in Jordan Love, we've literally had 2 quarterbacks since 1992? Since 1992.
Yeah.
Before your parents even Netflix and chilled to have you, bro. Before they even planned to have you, Brett Favre was in there, and they've only had 2 quarterbacks that entire time since 1992. I just think that maybe they should get the benefit of the doubt. I know everything's different, and you can't just say, oh, because they did this, they're going to do it again. But I mean, this is an organization that does do well with quarterback development, and I'm just saying I have a really good feeling that he's got the supporting cast he needs. I'm not saying they're playoff bound necessarily, but this could be a very promising year. Jordan Love, Alexander was talking him up big time yesterday and today, and he continues to, and that speaks volumes.
I guess I'll have to watch some more Christian Watson content, because I'm leaning more towards St. Brown, which I'm pretty sure you can't go bad either way. You can go either way. It's just I'm just not totally sold on Watson, even though I did have him at the end of the year last year.
I will say that St. Brown's safer, but again, think about give me a couple names of players. The 6th round's more like the 7th round in this format, because you are keeping 1 player each, so 12 players will be off the board, and all 12 probably go before a regular 6th round pick, I imagine. So,
well, one of them is actually I got him in the same round. St. Brown was through a trade. DeAndre Hopkins, he's not even in your mind. You wouldn't even consider taking him in the 6th either.
Not when you have these other 2 options, because we don't know where Hopkins is going to be. If let's say he lands in KC, then let's have another conversation. But for right now, I'm not even considering it. No.
I got you. All right, Smitty. Thank you.
Yeah, keep in mind I'm very high on Watson, so trust your gut if you're not. But go watch some more Watson film.
I'm sure I'll talk to you before the season starts again and see where we're at in about a month.
Yeah. All right, man. Appreciate you. Later, Frank.
All right, Smitty, thanks.
All right, I'm sorry. Who was that? That was Poker. All right, let's go over to Okafor. Final thoughts, Okafor. I got to get going here.
I was about to complain about Watson. But we'll save that for another
What do you want to complain about? No, go ahead briefly. What are you going to complain about on Watson? What on earth could you possibly have against a guy that proves he is a up and coming rising star that is getting the same disrespect? Go take Underdog's money. Underdog Fantasy promo code Smitty. Drake London and Christian Watson both have an 850 line. But what possibly could you have against Christian Watson, bro?
What kind of receiver? What do you see when you watch him? What kind of receiver?
Debo,
who does he remind you of?
Debo Samuel.
Debo.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. No. The answer is yeah.
You mean as far as? He's not going to break any tackles, but.
What do you mean he's not going to break? What do you mean? Okay, hold on. What do you mean he's not going to break any tackles?
Christian Watson's not he can run away from people for sure, and he has he can move really well and navigate. Who is he? It's almost like Justin Fields.
You done making fun of yourself, or you want to keep going? Because this guy's 6'4", runs a 4.28. What are you talking about? He can't break tackles. He's 6'4".
Like breaking tackles is not his thing.
What do you mean it's not his thing? He just entered the league.
He can run with the ball. He can grow with the ball. He can leap
over
people.
You've got a determination that a man who ran for 2 touchdowns on the ground. He had I think he had a 40-something yard touchdown run. He had a 40.
What tackle did he break?
He had a 40. Bro, are you mad at him because his 4.28 speed won't allow people to touch him? Like, are you judging him because he's so quick that when he's running the football as a running back, when they're using him like Deebo Samuel? He's the closest thing to Deebo Samuel in the National Football League right now in terms of developing into that kind of player. He could be a 200-yard rusher and a 2 to 3 touchdown on the ground player. He ran a 40-something plus yard touchdown run, and he's 4.28 fast. 4.28 40 at 6'4", bro. You're telling me he can be tackled just because no one can catch him?
I think people are gonna have a hard time touching him. But when I think Deebo, I think big and like powerful and fast. I don't think powerful. And I think
why? What?
I think like electricity.
What makes you think? What makes you think that he can be tackled just because he's had a short career where you barely have anything to even judge him on?
No. This is pure player comparison. Because the tape I've watched, he's not like running. Maybe I need to watch more Deebo tape. I don't know how often I see Deebo actually get hit when he's running with the ball, like physically breaking tackles. But anywho.
Deebo,
I'm thinking when
okay, you asked me. I'm telling you, he is the closest thing to Deebo Samuel, and he doesn't have to be the same build. He doesn't have to break the same tackles a certain way. I'm saying utilization wise, he's the closest wide receiver to a 2 or 3. Like they could rush him over 200 yards with 2 or 3 rushing touchdowns in 2023. So you're focusing on the wrong details when I compare him to Deebo too. You're like thinking he built a little different. Deebo's got more junk in the trunk. Like what are you envisioning when I say that? Why are you not seeing a Deebo Samuel comparison when Christian Watson ran for 2 or 3 touchdowns? Ran for 2 touchdowns in a 40-yard touchdown run. What do you need for him to be in the same bucket as Deebo?
I don't. It's just when I think player comparisons, I take like everything into account, not just like how you utilize.
All right, Okafor. What else can I do for you, pal?
Well,
I mean, hey, if you still want, go ahead.
I'm just saying when I watch him, I kind of see more MVS. I mean, he has more potential than MVS for sure, but that's kind of like the path.
Yeah, guys, don't. Yeah, don't listen. You're listening to a guy that's not into Watson, so don't you. Hey, hang tight. Hold on 1 second. 505 caller, you're live.
Oh, bro. Love the channel, love the content.
What's up, Chris?
I threw in Underdog bit, and I just wanted to see what you think about it. It's the ones that you usually love. I got Trevor Lawrence at the passing touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
I got Jahmyr Gibbs higher the 580 rushing yards. That should be easy, right?
Yeah.
And then I got Watson receiving, I got London receiving, and I got Olave higher 4.5 receiving touchdowns.
Bro, this Christian Watson and Drake London hires are amazing. Oh, I had this lower here. I don't know why I had this lower. Hold on, let me get the higher. Okay, so here's the higher. So higher London, they're both at 850.5 yards, which is crazy. And they're the same, so they're like using the standardized number. They're like, you know what this tells me?
Yeah.
You know what this tells me? And I think they'll get better at it. But this is a vantage point for us to get in. This is Underdog's first higher low, season-long Pickem. Feature.
Yeah, like they're just testing it out for now, kind of thing.
So 850.5, it's like that's unproven receiver. Let's put the line there. Like these guys, London and Christian Watson are going to smash and annihilate 850.5. These are crazy. And guys, if you want to hit this too,
figured, man.
if you want to hit this too, I just dropped the link in the live chat. Please punch that right now. Punch it right now, and Underdog will match up to $100 in your first deposit. I just dropped the link right now. Underdog Fantasy. You can use promo code Smitty, and they'll match up to $100 in your first deposit, or you can use the link that I just dropped right now. And I'm gonna pin said link right now in the live chat. There, it's pinned right now. Use that link. Use promo code Smitty. The link will insert it for you. Absolute smashes, bro. Nice work. Gibbs at 580 rushing yards is crazy, man. It's just robbery.
Yeah, bro. I'm like
Robbery.
these lines are insane, bro. And then Chris Olave at 4.5. Really?
I know. That's what
ridiculous, bro.
that's what
He
it's
goes
touched.
so high in draft.
Yeah, it's crazy, bro. All right, man. Appreciate you calling in.
All right, no problem. Leather channel again, man. Thank you.
I got you in the phone line, so call in whenever you want. I'll see you calling later, pal.
Later.
All right, Okafor, you got 10 seconds to make your case against Watson, then I got to hang up on you. Go. Hurry.
I mean, I don't really got a case. It's just it's the ball skills that I need to see a little bit more before I see him hitting what his ceiling is.
Okay.
Like make small catches, some more secure catches.
All right.
When he could do that, then I'll be all over.
All right.
But I see the potential.
All right. Enjoy the show. Later, Okafor. I'll see you later, pal.
Later.
Frank, final 10 seconds.
Yeah, hey, Christian Watson, he's gonna smash it. Playing in the NFC North, we know the secondaries ain't that good, and so is Jordan Love. He'll get in the rhythm. Yeah, he's gonna go through some bumps and bruises, but Jordan Love, I mean, it's like what you said, Smitty. I mean, what the Green Bay Packers have done, I mean, I know going back, I was a child. I was in middle school when Brett Favre and Starting Chopper together, and I got to see what they did. And then it continues on with how they set Aaron Rodgers right behind them, for a couple of years, and now they did the same thing with Jordan Love sitting behind Aaron Rodgers. I mean, they know what they're doing, and if I put the odds in their favor, I mean, I'd definitely be a bet man on their side because I think Jordan Love's going to be okay. And yeah, he can go through his bumps and bruises, but they're going to be special. They're going to be special, both of them. So I'll leave it at that, Smitty.
All right, later, Frank. Appreciate you.
All right, yes, sir.
I think appreciate your comment. Appreciate you. Rock out. Final thoughts.
Yeah, what's the issue of all the jacked up rankings in the ADP having Eckler top 4 in all major platforms?
Well, I mean, he's definitely, if he stayed healthy, I think he could definitely produce that. I mean, he was so good last year, but they had to rely on Eckler in a way that I don't think they will necessarily have to rely on him this year. Doesn't mean he won't do well or do the same, but they certainly had to rely on him in a way that they just won't have to. So we just got to see what happens. Kellen Moore, new offense. He has had multiple running backs in his past. He does do committees. Maybe he won't with Eckler. Not saying that that's for sure. But there's just a lot of moving parts to it, and he's 28 years old. And even though Derrick Henry just, and I jumped a year early on Henry, I admit that. But I always tell people, I don't feel like I failed on the Derrick Henry don't draft him prediction last year because you're jumping a year early to be safe and you're still grabbing players that you like just as much or better. And it's not like Derrick Henry had a good year, but it wasn't like you failed if you went a different direction and grabbed someone that also landed. So I don't feel wrong. It's not like you can be right even when you're wrong, when you're just avoiding risk, but taking another player that you still love that breaks out. So it's not like that was a miss or anything. The odds of a 28-year-old running back with the mileage, I don't care if he catches more passes than runs up the gut. He is built not to run up the gut, and he's been doing it for several years now. The mileage is going to add up. He's 28 years old. The odds there's still probably 20, if I had to guess, a 20-30% chance he could have one more elite year left, and then we look at him differently next year. But that's not a high percentage chance for a guy you're drafted in the first round. So that's why I say avoid Eckler, grab someone else that's safer. And then, if he ends up doing it again, the odds are still there that he could. It's just it's not a great bet. You could say that, you could put $100 on thirds on the roulette wheel. You know what I mean? Like if we want to equate Eckler's likelihood of staying healthy for a whole season and not screwing you in weeks 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, or even like 14, 15, 16, 17 as the season wears on him. He's more likely to get hurt in the later part of the year than the early part of the year because there will be more mileage to add on to the concern. So like if you play a roulette wheel and you play thirds, you have less than a third chance to win the third section of the numbers. So roulette thirds would be like you play the first thirds of the numbers on the roulette wheel, the middle thirds, or the last thirds. Like I feel like less than a 33% chance is the likelihood that Eckler plays a full elite year. And so could that ball bounce on that the set of numbers on that roulette wheel? Sure. And everyone's going to be like, Smitty, you're wrong. And maybe I'll end up being, wrong in terms of like this was that year he breaks out. But the risk is not worth it. It's just not worth it when you can grab these other safer players. Bijan is so much safer. Just so much safer. Even with the threat of a rookie wall, I think he's got a week 14 bye, I believe it is. Week 11.
That's pretty good.
What is it? What's Bijan's bye? Week 11? I think week 11. Let's see. Atlanta Falcons bye is week 12. Perfectly placed for the rookie wall. Perfectly placed for a rookie wall. The rookies especially running backs, hit a rookie wall around weeks 10, 11, 12. He's got a week 12 bye, perfect placement, and that might allow him to be, in a position to not even have the rookie wall. All right, hey, I got to go rock out. Any final thoughts? 10 seconds worth?
That's it.
All right, man. Appreciate you.
All right, take care.
Later. Keep in mind, Eckler is in 6 fantasy leagues. I know, I was in one of them last year. I played with Eckler. I played against Eckler. So, yeah, that doesn't really matter, though. His body's not going to stay more healthy if he plays in more leagues. If he gets dominated by me in the same old league, we'll see. If he's in that league. All right, boys. I will see you all tomorrow. I might be live later on the Dynasty channel, so make sure you subscribe to the Dynasty channel. Let me drop that link right now. Please subscribe to the Dynasty channel. If you don't know what that is, click the link and subscribe. I might be live tonight on the Dynasty channel. I will see you all later. Appreciate you.
The tripod, likened to pyramids in ancient Egypt, consists of drafting either Joe Burrow or Jalen Hurts with one of Hall, Gibbs or Bijan, and one of Olave, Watson, Wilson, or Chase.
Thank you, Overcome, for that super chat. Appreciate you very much. I'll see you all later. Appreciate every single one of you. Overcome, appreciate your super chat. Positive vibes, prayers up for Miss Navy, Ron Navy. Oh, Young, dropping a super here. Tank Dell or Mingo Smitty? Give me Tank Dell, Young. Tank Dell. Young is my guy. Young to the moon.
To the moon.
Young, you still here? Tank Dell, baby. Tank Dell. Do it live. Do it live. Potential top 3 rookie wide receiver this year. Love him. Love him. Giancarlo, do you trade CMC for Garrett Wilson? Yes. Terry, appreciate you. Sick Nasty, appreciate you. And the prayers up for Ron Navy's wife. Prayers up for Miss Navy. I'll see you all tonight on the Dynasty channel. Link is in the live chat. Subscribe. Here's the link again to the Dynasty channel. Subscribe to the Dynasty channel. We'll be going live tonight on the Dynasty channel at some point. I will see you all later.